This is what happens when two wrestlers try to do stuff with technology.
Oh yeah,
It's like the most bootleggy, janky shit ever.
That's why I make you do everything.
I don't have like a great knowledge. I just have a decent one. Like, that's the thing with wrestlers. We're kind of good at everything, but like we're not perfect at one thing other than jacking our bodies up.
Yeah, that's. Well, you're the tech guy. I just chopped down the trees.
The best part was I spent 2 days getting all this set up, like got a great microphone, got webcams, got the whole shebang, got everything all set up, and 10 minutes before we hit record, because I want to shift the table that way.
You mess it up.
I mess it up, but I have to switch computers.
Yeah, my time is valuable here.
What, $20 and a hot dog?
Some places, you know.
What's the best thing you've ever heard? Because I saw Adam doing this.
Oh, that skit.
What's the best, like, I'm sorry I can't give you your PO you've ever heard?
I've gotten when I first started, it wasn't even like that. It was just no PO, but I got to do something with you in the future. and then I don't work for that company anymore. It wasn't even like that.
You don't even work for that company anymore?
No.
Makes sense.
I mean, I wasn't. Oh, here we go into the talking shit.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to be on shows with untrained wrestlers, and so it's, and I'm here. I'm not here to get hurt by anybody that's untrained and doesn't know what they're doing.
So to explain to people who are watching what this is, like at some point, maybe I'll get like banners and crap made. But so
budget.
It's low budget.
Low budget.
We'll get Twitch streams and then we'll reinvest. But the concept of this show was me and you would be the two people who were just like, we would complain about like why are things like this? Like, why are people stupid? Why is this so annoying?
Oh, man.
And like we could go on for hours and just bitch to each other. And I was like, well, why don't we just like start a podcast and then just sit around and bitch, and maybe people can ask questions and we can sit there and like.
Sean's here. Sean is a good fan up in Washington that for my home company Northwest Pro. He's always there.
Oh, okay. You got a question, Sean?
Probably not. He's a Mikey O'Shea fan. Mikey O'Shea's beat me 3 times.
Who's Mikey O'Shea?
You don't know who Mikey O'Shea is?
I don't know who Mikey O'Shea is.
Oh! I'll share his TikTok later.
Is it TikTok?
It's TikTok later. No, Mikey O'Shea is a wrestler out of Southern California. He's another big guy and really entertaining, real good wrestler. Just an overall good human being. I've had 3 good matches. The first match I've ever had with him, we were going over some stuff in the back. He sets me down. I dislocate my knee. Right? And so we go out and wrestle. Uh-huh. He's in the corner. I throw an elbow, dislocate my other knee. Continue.
You dislocated both knees?
On the same day. I continue wrestling. It was his first time in Washington, and yeah, and that was a great impression. Put him in the guy with 2 bad knees. That's fantastic. But I wrestled him twice now, or 3 times now, and he's probably one of my favorite opponents.
Going back to my first question, best. I'm sorry, we can't pay you. Like there wasn't even like a. For me, there wasn't even like we're not gonna pay you. It was like show up and you'll get paid. Like it was just kind of understood. Like okay, like so I went through a third party. I was like I was booked on the lucha circuit a lot when I first broke in.
Right.
And so what happened was I had like my broker, who would be like, okay, like you'll get booked, you get paid X amount of dollars. So I'm like, okay, cool, so whatever. And I knew it wasn't gonna be a lot, but like, still, it was like a 4-hour drive. It was maybe 3 hours because I think I was going from Stockton, but it was in Salinas, so it was a minute. And we get out there, and I'm sitting there with a certain individual who just I'm not gonna give him a plug because he's an asshole.
No free plugs here, except for Mikey.
Yeah. But we're sitting. I don't know. He's a hunter of some kind. But if you know what I'm talking about, if you get the yeah. Okay, so
the female hunters,
something like that. So we were sitting there, and it only makes me laugh because it made him mad as shit. we do our match, and we're like number one because the non-luchadors always go on first.
Yeah.
And so we're sitting. I'm sitting there, and as we're coming back to the locker room, they're like, "Wait, we have trophies for you." And it was like a baseball little league trophy, like with like the championship ones, but there's a guy like this on top, and so like I'm looking at this thing. I don't even think it said that. I think it just had like a year and like a star or something. But like we get to the back and I sit down, and I haven't said a word, but I'm sitting there like this, and I just start dying laughing, and I start going, and it just like builds and builds until I'm like laughing hella loud hysterically in the locker room, and he goes, what? I was like, how much you want to bet? This is our PO. Sure enough, he goes and asks for money, and like the show ends, and they come up to us and they're like, oh, by the way, guys, there's ceviche in the kitchen.
All right, so for my guys who don't know, I mean, obviously they know me, right? The people on my Facebook know who I am.
Yeah.
Who are you? Who are you? And explain. We will get into how we met, but
do they know anything about Wild West?
No, nothing. I mean, some of my viewers.
You don't post anything about me.
No. You're
such an asshole.
Because that footage that never got posted, because.
So, for those of you who don't know, I am I formally known as now?
I mean, are you retired?
I mean, yeah, pretty much. I mean, never say never, but like pretty much. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I'm the deliriously deranged Andrew Arch.
Yeah.
For longest reigning WWCW World Heavyweight Champion, most over guy in the locker room, biggest pain in the ass, most annoying prick you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
I'm opinionated, but I think I have a right to be.
But so this is Andrew Arch. He had his last match April or had his last match in March, right? March 27th.
Was it March? I thought it was April.
When you wrestled Chupi.
Yeah.
So I met Andrew Arch July of 2020? 2019?
Something like that.
And I was in a tag team at the time. Thank goodness that ended.
I was in a tag team with someone who I'm not friends with anymore, so that works out.
So that's the first time I met Andrew. I wrestled Andrew. And then we kind of just slowly became friends.
We realized like we were like-minded in the fact that like we just had no tolerancy for horse shit.
Oh, I can't. Yeah.
Well, it was funny because people were like, "What do you think of Zach?" And I was like, "Fuck him." Like initially, that was my first like take was "fuck him." Like, I don't know, but it's not like I disliked him. I was like, I didn't know him. You didn't talk. You showed up and you didn't talk to anybody, and all I knew is like you showed up with JD and he goes, "Oh, these are." My understanding was you guys were trainees, that you had not been in there for a while, or like so you hadn't had very many matches, and so we start. I get told, okay, we're working a tag match with LumberZack. That's what you guys were called at the time.
You were working a tag with LumberZack.
Oh, right, that's right.
That guy doesn't exist
anymore.
Okay,
with LumberZack, excuse me.
Handicap.
So, right. So, but I go up to him and I just start going. I remember you were kind of shocked because it seemed like you were taken back when I said this because I just went, so what do you guys want to do?
Yeah. No.
Instead of like coming up and being like, all right, guys, here's what we're gonna do, brother. You're gonna get in there and blah blah blah. And you're gonna put me over and.
That when I first started, I was trained in Washington by JD Mason.
Yeah.
And I'll put him over any day of the week. He's the owner and promoter of Northwest Pro. One of my best friends. Oh, I'll kiss his ass all day.
I was trying to get that strap.
he gave me the opportunity to live my dream, and I can't say enough great things about JD.
Yeah.
He's helped me get a lot of bookings. I mean, he got me Wild West.
Yeah.
And I owe a lot to JD. So we came down, and yeah, we worked. We're like, oh, they're gonna work the what do you guys? The Desperados of Darkness.
The Desperados of Darkness. The DOD.
And you came up to me and go, oh, what do you want to do? And usually I'm so used to, this is what we're gonna do, this is what you're gonna do, and you got no say. And I was taken back because it was like I'm not used to that. I'm not used to people trying to like work together really.
Right.
And we went out and it was good. I mean, I enjoyed it.
I thought it was great.
That moonsault.
Yeah.
If I had the footage, if we had the footage, we could.
I have a clip here somewhere of the footage. Like I could probably pull it up.
We'd have to do that.
And I know it's somewhere on it because I had made like a highlight film on here at one point for like when I was doing my streams. That's what this is over here. But like I had done that for a minute, and one of the clips is just that nice shot of like you standing there like this, and just slow mo, just. I just remember going like, "Are you sure you got me?" But no, I remember being like, "Okay, well, give me some moves." Like, what's fuck him is Arch's go to people and don't introduce themselves, and sometimes even what is Arch's go to. I can't put a sentence together.
Yeah, I'm reading that and
to people that don't introduce themselves. Oh, I go up to people that don't introduce themselves. Yeah, sometimes it depends. It depends on my mood. Like if I know, definitely later on when I was kind of running the locker room, so to speak.
Yeah.
I wanted everyone to feel welcome because after like my second show, I was told like, "Hey, I need you to run the locker room. I need you to be my guy. I need you to be my taker." And I went, "All right, what the fuck ever." And so like I would generally walk up and say what's up to everybody, give everyone the hug and the handshake. But aside from that, my MO is to go just sit my ass in the corner and just figure out the hell I'm gonna do.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like when I showed up, like when I don't know a lot of people, I tend to seclude myself.
Yeah.
Not just because I don't want to talk to people, but like that way, like especially somewhere new, I want to get in the mind space of we got to do match and stuff like that. I want to go have fun. I mean, now that I've been there, a couple years,
it's now it's just like whatever.
Yeah. And as I've gotten through. I'm still pretty young in my career, but you get that confidence. And I was explaining to somebody last month that once you get this confidence, like I belong here. Mm-hmm. It kind of changes. Like you don't become an asshole, but
right.
You're
like, this is like I'm one of the big dogs in this yard, and this is my yard. So don't fuck with me.
And it's like, you belong.
Hell yeah, I do.
hey, I wrestled Sin one time. Oh, hey,
bro, no,
I wrestled in front of 6 people. I wrestled in front of like 13 people.
I wrestled in front of 4 on a golf course. That's a story I got. No, Jay is honestly one of my favorite people.
Yeah.
Because like, so when I was breaking in, when I was going to local shows, like the big scary people were like Ugly and Sin. And like the one person I was terrified of was Sin because even if I wanted to do something, I knew I couldn't do something about it. And I got to a show and they're like, "You're working Sin tonight." And I just went, "Please, for the love of God, no. Please don't make me do that.
Somebody
I'm gonna die." And like he shows up and I go, hey, I said something to him and I was like, "They wanted me to work you, but I was too scared." And he's like, "Dude, all you gotta do is say something. I'm not gonna kill you."
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I should have known better because that's not even my first interaction with him. My first interaction with Sin was I was wrestling in I'll answer that in a second. But I was wrestling in San Francisco, and like I was doing the contacts and shit at the time, and I told someone like, "Hey, my contacts are kind of frayed. Don't rub my eyes." Sure enough, someone fucking rubbed my eyes, and one of them fell out, and I go. And like to the rest of the match, I'm like, he poked me in the eye. So like I'm doing this the rest of the match, and I'm wrestling with one eye closed. And I think I was working Jody Christopherson and Chicano Flame. And Jody goes, "What's with your eye?" And I'm like, "My contact fell out. I can't find it." But I get to the back, and Sin's sitting there painting his face, and I'm like, "God damn!" And I just kind of look over. Oh, and he's like, "Contact fell out." And I'm like, "Yep." And he's like, "I fucking hate that shit." First interaction I had with him, I was like, he's cool.
Yeah,
he's cool.
No, Sin's a real like. That's kind of how I was when I booked him when I was helping book for Northwest Pro.
Yeah.
And I booked him, and I was like, oh, well, I want to, I love the two big men, especially two kind of athletic big men going at it.
Yeah. You want to finish that statement, Haas?
But that's kind of how I was, because I see, you see Sin post all the hardcore stuff, and
yeah.
I haven't gotten too. I've done thumbtacks, chairs, and all that, but
you done thumbtacks?
Yeah,
I never did. I wanted to, but I didn't.
And Sin, like I was kind of nervous, because Sin's been around a while.
Yeah.
And
everybody knows the name Sin.
Big man slapping. Yep. I mean that's kind of how it was. We battled. We. I tell you, like I think he's hitting me the hardest I've been hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Oh yeah.
That was the other thing is like I got to a point where I had so many concussions, like I couldn't take a stiff shot. I couldn't work snug.
Yeah.
Like, and so even on certain people, like guys like Sin, their forearms are so fucking massive that even if they try and catch you nice, like it doesn't take a lot. Doesn't take a lot to go, oh my god. And so I was just terrified. Like, and you know me, like I can throw it snug, or I can be like the nicest motherfucker you ever met. I think the only thing that I ever hit anybody with is my clothesline, like realistically. Oh, by the way, like in case you haven't picked up on this, anybody watching, like we're gonna speak very candidly. There's no kayfabe here, so I mean everybody knows what we do.
Yeah,
like, it's I mean fucking like
it's 2023.
Yeah, it's a fucking show. Like we know what we do, but like this shit is real. It fucking hurts.
Yeah. So, but let's jump back to Sean's question: is where is local for you?
The middle of nowhere.
I mean, that is California. I mean, I lived here 20 years. You live in Sacramento.
I've been billed from the middle of nowhere for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, something like that. But my home is from Stockton, California, which isn't much better.
No.
But I live in Sacramento now.
Yeah.
So like right on the edge of Rancho Cordova. But yeah, so not local to Washington. Hey, look, it's Cowboy.
Cowboy bitch.
Cowboy bitch.
So, yeah, the way this...
Share the stream, Austin!
The way we're going to put this little podcast together is we're going to talk basically just stories, our experiences at shows. There's no really hold back. I mean, I'm not going to...
I was politically correct for 10 years, and I was nice, and I pulled punches, and I didn't say shit, and I bit my tongue, and now I don't want to do that anymore.
And the thing is a lot of it's going to be the truth. It's.
Ooh man, he's trying really hard to be polite.
Who is
you?
Yeah, I am. I may be a big heel in the ring, but in real life, I'm an actual good human being, unlike some people.
Stop that line. Stop.
But
stop that line.
No, this podcast is pretty much just we're gonna talk our stories.
Yeah.
Our differences with some people that may not never respond, and I don't care.
Yeah. Well, and I mean that was kind of the point, is like, because especially after the way I exited wrestling, I had a lot to say about it, and I had no platform to do so.
Yeah.
Like, and I was just bitching at you.
Yeah.
And like I didn't have too many people I was bitching to, but I was very unhappy. Tell me what happened to LumberZack.
All right.
Ooh. All right. Well, let me finish my point.
Yeah. Let him finish, and I'll tell the real story of what happened.
Yeah, I was. So here's the thing. This story, like a lot of this stuff, I was around for because you were one of the. I was always your contact for WWCW.
Yeah.
Like once we worked together in that tag match, I was always your contact. You're like, hey, what am I doing? What's this? What's this? And so we were always back and forth. So I always heard what was going on. But what the fuck was I talking? Oh no. So I didn't like my exit. And so I was just angry and like realizing that I've been nice my whole fucking career, and I'm just past that point. I'm just like, I'm gonna say what I want, when I want, about who I want. If they get mad at me, they get mad at me. There's certain people I'm not gonna talk about because fuck them. But yeah, I got no problem talking about the West and my feelings there, and certain people in the business. And I feel like some people it'll shock to hear that I respect and that I Like whether I like him on a personal level, I respect him on a professional level.
Yeah.
So, but all right. So what happened to LumberZack?
All right. So for the viewers that don't know, I was in a tag team with this guy that his ring name was Mikey the Mustache Selleck. He was the son of Tom Selleck. At one point considered one of my best friends. He knew all my kids.
You guys seemed really close.
And everything. Mikey decided to become, and I'm gonna keep it kind of vague, but kind of give you the point. Is Mikey decided to do some unethical solicitation for services with an underage person.
And if you don't want to say who that person is, that's okay.
No, I will keep that person and their family secret.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happened with Mikey. Was he did that? We kicked me and JD and decided that obviously we're not gonna have that.
Mm-hmm.
That's disgusting and stuff like that. And out of respect for the person that they did it or he did the stuff to, it was best if we part ways and don't mention it.
Yeah.
And I'm real salty about it because I spent a lot of money on merch, bookings, and stuff like that. So it's real salty because you have somebody who meet your kids.
They're like an uncle and they're like family.
Yeah, and then they do that stuff and it breaks your heart, man, because
I ain't got one left to break. Like it's all tore from like the one I had belonged to somebody else, so that's all I
got. So he did those things. We ended ties. He'll probably find a way to watch this. I blocked him on every social media. Blocked his number.
Yeah. Well, I know you're struggling to get it out. Like I know this sticks right in your craw. So,
but to end the story, he can go fuck himself.
Well, let me give you things from my perspective of how things went down, and I think it'll make you happy, especially with someone who you call bitch a lot. For people who don't know, they've seen me in Austin at wrestle fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, it's well known that in the ring, me and Austin don't like each other. Truth be told, Austin's one of my best friends. And, like, we're not best friends in the sense that we talk every day, but, like, he's a brother because if something was to happen, like, it don't matter what I'm up in arms about. He's like, let's do it. We're gonna fuck somebody up. What's up, Ross? Stick around and listen.
You're the one who looks like an albino gorilla.
But he looks like a gorilla.
Don't fight like one.
But I heard the situation of what was going on, and you were texting me, and because this was somebody that was close with your family, you were really upset. I told Charlie was the first one I said, so and so is not going to be back. Some shit happened, and then it's because I had to report to him first.
Right.
And so once that happened, then I had to address the locker room, and I told the locker room, and Austin was like, "Fuck that guy! If he shows up here, we're gonna beat the shit out of him." He was all up. And they're like, "Oh, what about Zach?" And I was like, Zach still has a fucking job. We all love Zach." Like, I think Austin even went, "Well, Zach's coming back, right?"
Yeah, and that's the thing is where I had to block him and everything. I told all the companies that I worked with that, hey, I don't want any footage out.
Yeah.
Greg, who does the YouTube for WWCW, I told him. I said no footage. I said they put one out with the match with me and Russ, and I said no more. I said I don't want any footage of me and him out. Yeah, I don't want the tag team. I'm sorry, but I don't want the tag team match that we had.
Spinebuster was so nice though, bro. You go up. You up pretty late for a big guy.
I try.
How much do you weigh? Like 380?
Earlier. Probably in November, I was pushing 360.
Really?
Yeah, and I've lost some weight now. I'm hoping I'm kind of, I don't weigh myself, but I feel really good, and I'm hoping I'm around 330, 320 on my way down. but I don't step on the scale. So
Never.
but
I just try to pay attention, like
but
how I look.
but
here.
you when I told you what happened, you were understanding. Like I don't want to be guilty by association because I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
He mine and his mixed tag match we had at Wild West. Yeah.
The one that made absolutely zero sense as to why it happened.
And
guess who made that decision? It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
So and this is like the first time I publicly spoke about it.
Yeah.
Because it involves my family. I got 3 boys and a girl.
Yeah.
And took him in. He lived with me for a long time. I looked out for him. So it hurts.
See, and here's the thing that people don't understand is generally, like, in wrestling, we don't necessarily report people. We handle business.
Shut up. No, you don't.
You don't suck, Russ. I will fight you. Not really, because you'll mess me up. I deleted any footage I had of him and hadn't put it up.
No,
okay, so
Greg was good about it.
Greg's the man. Greg's the one who hooked me up with all the fucking mic equipment and the mixer. And
yeah.
I was like, hey, I'm doing a podcast, and he's just like, look at all I have.
No, but that's the thing with like the people I've been in contact with at Wild West, Greg and you been real understanding. Like, but up until the last show, I had some pretty questionable matches that I felt.
You want to point out any ones that you feel questionable?
The match with what's that? Chase Havoc? It's the Chase Havoc. Chase Havoc.
Yeah.
That match, after watching it back, is not the drizzling shits that I thought it was. After
one where he
match.
potatoed you.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, but the way it looks on through the video is just 2 big men fighting. We're not going to be hitting suplexes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hey, this is before me and you, Austin.
Why y'all have bangers?
Because
that's really
when you got 2 people who
what you guys do in the hotel room is your business. We're talking about what happens in the ring and in the locker room. Oh, that's right. I did get to wrestle him in Fallon.
Oh, was it good?
It's pretty good.
The thing is not every, and I've come to realize this is not every match is going to be the Dave Meltzer 5-star Tokyo Dome.
No. Especially when we're in it.
I'm the drizzling shits. But like the greatest thing is in that locker room with like Austin, who's become a real good friend. As you guys saw the disappointment I had in those 2 matches. Like, I come back. I told you right off the bat after that match, the first match, and I was like, and then with the match with the green guy,
Maisie.
Adler.
Adler. There you go. It used to be Mason. That's Adler.
And it was a match for sure. And I aired it out with him.
Yeah.
I gave him a piece of, not a piece of my mind, but I gave him all the advice I could.
Yeah.
He understood what he did wrong. Not to say that I did everything right in the match. He never did everything right in the match.
Right.
I have no heat with Adler. Nothing at all. The match I did ask not to be posted.
Yeah.
But except for the clothesline, because the clothesline it was a little bit of a receipt.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing with him. And he knows this, and I've been very vocal with him. Like on a personal level, I love him. I can't hate him. I used to. I've tried to. I can't hate him.
Yeah.
Like, just the issue I have with him, and it's not necessarily his fault, but he doesn't have the time or the place to train, and so he doesn't have anywhere to train, and so he can he doesn't get to improve in ring. He doesn't get to improve his technique. He doesn't get to He doesn't get to work on psychology. The only practice he gets is on shows, and that's not the place where you want to train. Yeah. Like that's not the. I mean, because I've wrestled him numerous times before that, and like, I mean, really, with him, and he no-sold you. Uh, oh god.
Hey, remember I got told I no sold the armbar
Yeah.
when I asked that guy for a beer?
So what had happened? So I'd worked him a number of times, and I guess he was just kind of tired of like jobbing to me. But it's like when you don't train, like that's kind of the position you put yourself in. Is like you get tossed in there as a piece of meat. Like if you have no credibility, you have nothing you're bringing to the table. Like I'll give him this. The gimmick he had I thought was interesting. Like certain people didn't understand it, fans didn't understand it, but like it was different, and that's what you want to be in wrestling.
Yeah.
But like, there's a handful of times where we'd be going at it and he'd do something, and I'd just lose my temper and finally just take my issues out on him. And when we met, I wasn't the nicest person. I definitely had my issues and my problems, and I was just very bitter and angry. And so when I would hit him, like I'd go for the knockout, which I'm an asshole. I'm guilty of it. I'll be the first one to sit there and say I was an asshole. But like I can own up to it. It wasn't until he showed me he cared that I tried to like go out of my way to like help him, and that included calling spots and working with him. And then when I moved up to Reno, he was showing up every weekend, every time he had time. Like I was working with him. The no sold that Austin's talking about was
he pulled the Airy.
As you know, pulled the Austin Aries. As you know, no one. I could sit there and say maybe 2 or 3 people have ever kicked out of my clothesline.
Right.
Like they sell it like I killed them. Well, he showed up and he drove all the way from Carson to Lodi, and he was told that you're gonna job out in 15 seconds. And
you?
Yes, I didn't book this match. I didn't make that call, but they're just like, I got told go out there and smoke him. And I was like, what do you mean smoke him? They're like, go out and smoke him, like teach him a lesson, teach him some respect. And like I was in a certain way at the time. I was dealing with my own issues, my own demons, and so I didn't care, and I kind of just went whatever, fuck it. And so I told him, I was like, all right, I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna blast you, and then I'm gonna whip you, and you're gonna come out and close on shit out of you. He's like, okay. I said, and so I got in there and just bum bum bum, and I just started forearming the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And backed him up, and then whipped him in the corner, fed out of the corner, and just bam, and I stiffed the fuck out of him. To his credit, pinned him 1, 2, 3, immediately stood up and exited the ring. Didn't even change into his gear for the match, and that's what I was mad about. Because I get like you got dealt the raw hand, and that kind of sucks. Like I get that. I'd be mad too. But at the same time, like if you respect the person you're in the ring with, like that the shit that the booker's doing to you has nothing to do with the person you're in the ring with.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of my frustration with it, and so I told him what was going to happen. I hit him with it. He no-sold me, and when he did that, like it was one of the first times you saw me like genuinely break character, because like I immediately like start doing I was doing and I saw him and I went, you motherfucker, and I was ready to go fight. But here's the other shit that I was told was we were pitted against each other. He was told something in the locker room. I was told something else in the locker room. And then the people in charge sent us out there and wanted us to get into a fist fight. Like they wanted us to hurt each other. And so we were really just put in a situation where we were played against each other. But that's all it is. I mean, there's plenty of people like... I've gotten good matches out of them. Like, I've gotten one of the best fucking... If you go on my TikTok, the Andrew Arch, I think that's what it is. You had a little plug there. If you go on my TikTok,
I got one.
There's a little one that I do where when greenhorns say, "Give me your finish." Like,
I've seen that.
Like I smoked him on that one, and I know I smoked him.
You know, and his character gimmick wasn't terrible. It obviously needed to work because
the silent gimmick.
Yeah. All right, and you know, I saw that as a kind of not a knockoff Riddler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do follow you, Austin, on TikTok. I do.
Weak.
I don't think he follows me though.
I don't follow anybody back.
But
except for Ad.
When I told him, because you know he was talking when I and I apologized to the management of WWCW when I did it, and I blew up on him in front of the whole locker room and was running his fucking into the ground. I said, look, because he was talking about jiu-jitsu, and I said, that's fantastic. Like, I respect jiu-jitsu. I respect amateur. Like, I'm an amateur wrestler. I love amateur wrestling.
I'm not.
And I said, but there's a difference between being a professional wrestler and playing a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
And when you have somebody who plays a professional wrestler and is a professional wrestler, they tend to clash in a match. Like, and obviously green is goose shit, really.
Yeah.
But took everything I don't have that much time in the business. Like, I'm 5 years in. I've been around a great mind, again, by JD Mason. We have a like mind. We understand psychology. And that's what all I was trying to have him understand was psychology and understand why I'm telling you to do things in the match. Yeah. Where you're giving me the mud hole stomps in the corner, in the corner away from the crowd, and then I tell you, go work the crowd. And he said, I didn't sell. You have to give me the opportunity to sell.
Yeah.
If you give me 30 mud hole stomps and expect me to sell, I can't.
See, and the issue I have with him is he tries to do everything so differently. And again, Adler, I don't know what he wants me to call him. I call him Devin, but that's his name. Dev, if you're watching, I love you. He tries to take so much realism in his jiu-jitsu shit, and he has a lot of creative ideas. And like most people in that locker room and in that business, they try to compress all these ideas into one fucking show and into one fucking match, and you cannot do that. What we do is long-term storytelling. That is the way it has been done. That is the way. What happened to Arch? I fucking cut my hair. But the way it's been done for years, since its inception, is long-term storytelling.
Yeah.
And when you try and cram too much into one show, you're giving it all away at once. You're killing stories. You're not giving. I'll be here for a few more seconds. We're talking about you, so good. But he has so much creativity. And that's one thing that I'll give Devin credit for.
Yeah.
Is he has a lot of creativity, and there's times you can tell he just wants to be fucking good. Regardless of whether or not he's had shitty matches and I love you, Devin. Let's face it, you haven't had barn burners. I can't say you had bad matches because I feel like I've had a couple of good ones with him. One of my favorite matches we ever had, and it was one of my favorite things I ever did. Especially when it came to him, especially with all the fucking shit that I put him through and was just a total dick to him, was when I was living up there, we did this little con, and I can't remember the fucking name of it.
I remember that.
But his kids were there, his kids and his wife, and they were all sitting there, and I was like, all right, bro, you're gonna fucking beat the shit out of me. Ultimately, because it's Wild West, and I was undefeated, I had to get the W. But, this is the most offense people had ever seen him get.
Right.
Which I wanted that to happen. He was just stomping the shit out of me. I let him get a bunch of creative stuff in. He gave me a superplex off the top.
I saw that.
And when he was like, I've never done that one, I was like, don't even worry about it, bro. I'll go. You just hold on to me. I'll take care of the rest. And he's like, okay. I know, sadly, I came in halfway through and also haven't heard Riddler knockoff. But anyway, gave me the superplex, and it was so... No, it wasn't FragCon. And it was so good. It was super comfortable. He had me the whole way down, and I feel like if you give him Devin needs a what do you call it when you put it on a car to make it not go too fast? I can't think of what it's called.
What?
When you have a car and you put something on it to make sure it can't go past a certain speed.
Oh, he's like a governor.
There you go. When you have someone to sit there and be like, okay, you can't do this. We have to cut you off right here. If you have someone to kind of take. He's used to people telling him, no, you can't do this. You can't do this. You can't do this. You can't do this. No, you gave me the superplex. Did I give you the superplex? I don't know. He beat the shit out of me. I thought I gave it to him. Either way, like his kids were cheering and they were loving it because Daddy was beating my ass. But with him, he has so much creativity that like if you can listen to him, you can take it in, and then make it make sense. He appreciates it so much more, and it's much easier to work with him. Whereas if you just go fucking no, like no, goddamn it, fucking, which is what I used to do.
Yeah, and
because not a lot of people understand him nor like him because he's weird. And he also hates the Goonies.
Hey, you guy!
Ericon, yeah, that's what it was.
You know, and I feel like and not just with Devin, it's a lot of people is
that was it.
You know, they say pro wrestling's for everyone. Yes, pro wrestling is for everyone, but not everyone
can be a pro wrestler.
And I'm not saying Devin can't be. You know, with training and with enough training, 75% of people get it.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's the 25 that don't get the in-ring work, but can be a referee, can be a commentator.
Yeah.
I have a guy in Washington, used to train to be a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Name is Keith Ryan, and
terrible fucking name.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Keith is a real good guy, and trained to be a wrestler. Was getting it down. We trained him to be a referee, and now does commentary, and is the hands down probably the best in the Pacific Northwest at commentary.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, obviously he knows the moves, so he's worked. That's the best time. Is when you're a worker.
Hey, Mike, did you hear that? He said he's the best commentator. Man, you just dissed the Shoopster.
No, I said in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh.
And I vouched to Greg about him. You know, I sent Greg his footage and stuff, and I will bat for Keith anytime, whether it's a ref or commentary. Again, trained by JD Mason. You know, and you know, that's somebody who understands that he may not be a professional wrestler, but he's found an avenue.
Here's what I'll say about Devin. Is anything he sets his mind to, regardless of the shit he gets for it and how people say he's ridiculous, and like if he sets his mind to something, he does it.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll give him all the credit in the world for that. Like he sat there and said, "I'm gonna lose weight," and I went, "Okay." This motherfucker almost has, like, I moved up there and he almost had a 6-pack. I was so mad. I was so mad, dude.
The house husband.
Bro, he's looking great. He's looking fantastic. I was so fucking irritated. I was like, bro, you used to be bigger than me and you make me feel like a fat ass.
You know,
and then he started giving me, like, weight loss advice. I'm like, damn!
And you know the best weight loss thing?
What?
And my kid's mom's, if she watches this, is going to hit it, is getting your heart broken. Hey. But on another note, I you know, and he came, and I respect him because he came up to me at the last time I was there and apologized.
Yeah.
And you know, had no heat with me. I'm out of time. I'm about to be 29. Not old, but I kind of realized like I don't hold grudges. I don't
give a shit. I don't got. I mean, there's some people I can hold a grudge for, and will, but like for the most part, most people I just don't have the patience for.
You know, and that's the thing now is like, you know, I've seen a lot of. I did go through a divorce. You're not wrong. I know I'm not wrong, but yeah, I mean, I have nothing to say bad about my kid's mom.
Depression is like the greatest weight loss program.
Yeah.
Because you fucking stop eating, like you're so stressed, you're burning calories nonstop, you're always in overdrive.
Y'all are young. I am young. You know.
Shut up, Austin.
I don't feel young.
No. My maturity level is 5. My body feels like it's 57, and my mind still thinks that I'm 17.
Yeah. So, yeah, I got nothing. You know, for somebody to come up and apologize and know what they did wrong, and understand and generally want to get better.
Yeah.
It had my respect. Like I said, I've got nothing against him. The match, I did, like I said, asked not to be posted.
Yeah.
Not just because it's, I don't want to put out crappy product for anything.
Well, it looks bad on everybody. It looks bad for the product. It looks bad on you, and it looks bad on him.
Yes.
It does nothing for his publicity. It does nothing for his name. It does nothing for you. It does nothing for anybody. So getting rid of it in general is probably the best thing to do.
Except the clothesline.
Except the clothesline. Clothesline is fantastic. You stole my finish, you dick.
It wasn't the finisher.
But you did my finisher.
It's fine.
You son of a bitch. You can't make
that's
my move look better.
And that's the thing too is
I'm 32. Shut up. He goes, 40, I'm 31.
I'm 45.
Yeah, Austin's like, I'm 31. I'm 32. I'm older than you.
Young buck. Who's the young buck? I started when I was 24.
Matt and what's the other? Nick Jackson. That's the young bucks.
Oh, they're the young. Are they? They're in their 40s now or something. So
something like
they're
that.
the middle-aged bucks.
Middle-aged bucks. I'm the big buck.
So I know when we started to get this going, we asked for questions. The normal basic.
And that's the thing. I don't know how long this fucking thing's gonna go. I don't really give a fuck. Like I'm like it goes 4 hours. It goes 4 hours. Whatever.
Okay.
But like with Devin, the other thing I had to realize was like, for what it's worth, I felt bad for it too. I beat myself up. I know you do. Yeah. I know. And that's the thing with him is like he doesn't try and be an asshole. Like he doesn't try and be a dick. He doesn't try and like upset people. Like he just comes. He doesn't try and be annoying, and I love him for it. Like he's genuinely trying his best. He's trying to do the best he can, and so like I never get mad at him. I'm just like, God damn it, Devin. Just like listen, do what I'm asking you to do. Do this, like, and like when that happened with you, he came in and he was upset, and like every mediation in that locker room, I had to handle it.
Well, yeah, and then
because he was like, LumberZack did this, Zach did this, and I was like, well, that don't sound right. I was like, what'd you do?
You know, and I don't ever feel like I deserve things, right? So I don't feel like I deserve,
what you deserve.
Just like I told the boss, man, I said I'm here to do a job. I'm here to do whatever I need to help the product get far. But I had, it was, I had the management come up to me and Austin come up to me and go basically, hey, it's me and you the next show. I politicked it. Mm-hmm. You deserve to have the good match. And I was like, I don't feel like I deserve it, but I appreciated that people understand the frustration I was going through. Mm-hmm. Cause like, I won't speak my mind.
We'll get to the questions in a second. I want to let him finish.
I won't speak my mind. I'll just move on.
Yeah.
I'll move on. I'll do what I need to. I won't go to the boss and bitch.
I will.
But that's the thing, and it kind of got me a little bit more respect for people that I understand that are helping run the Wild West. Is they understood that, hey, this guy, may not be happy. Yeah. Or, they see the potential I bring to the table, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't want to say reward. Yeah. But they understand, like, okay, maybe this guy needs some more. Yeah. Right? Because, and I told Devin this, I said, nobody wants to go to companies out of state. Like, I spend, and I'm going to drop dollar amounts. Like, the last show I wrestled at, I spent $600 to come down to the show.
To Wild West?
Yeah. I drove by myself from Washington, rented a car. And I don't mind, because I love a lot of the guys there. Mm-hmm. And I just want to wrestle. Yeah. But I'm also there to do a job.
Well, that's the thing. It's like there was some stuff that happened in the chat, and this is one of the reasons like I got pissed and started. I give zero fucks about like being nice. Like if something that happened was someone disrespected you. I'm seeing all these questions, guys. We're gonna get to them. We're gonna get to them, I swear. But like something happened where somebody who has not been in Wild West very long, had not been in the locker room, did not develop a rapport with us. It didn't matter his position in the company, but didn't develop a rapport. Started shit talking you, and this like certain people in there have a tendency to complain and bitch and just have a very um, inappropriate, unpopular opinion compared to the rest of the boys. And someone started shit talking you, and I said, I'll just say what fucking was said because I don't give a shit. Um, Somebody had went from being a referee to being a manager, and then you we were talking. It was WrestleMania weekend because we were talking about WrestleMania. We were talking about Prime, and because we fucking love Logan Paul.
Oh,
and you love Prime.
Prime, yeah.
Prime,
the Prime energy drinks,
right.
Strawberry watermelon.
You love Prime, and someone had made a snide comment at you, saying more memorable than your last match, and I said, his last match was more memorable than your fucking jump from referee to manager. Yeah, you fucking old fuck. Like, and then we were just like, me and you were shit talking because we were mad. Like, okay, I can't say you were mad, but I was fucking mad.
Yeah,
I did not, like, you drive your ass all the way from Washington, spend, $400+ at every trip, and I know what you make.
Yeah.
Because I used to do the book.
Yeah.
Like, I know what everybody makes. And so, fun fact, I was not the highest paid person on the roster. But no, and I was like, no, sorry, I'm not gonna take that shit. And I got told to stand down, and that's when I went and I left the chat.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm not gonna stand down. I'm not gonna stand down from defending my friend against someone who's not showing him respect, because you're like probably one of the biggest workhorses there. Like, you show up every show since the first show, mind you. That was the other shit that pissed me. Well, you were there? Were you there the first show?
No, I showed
up. Oh, no, wait. Alexis and the whole Colorado crew was there the first show.
Yeah, I showed up. They were running in that indoor soccer arena.
Yeah.
Which I thought was fantastic. Great.
It was fantastic.
Great fucking venue.
I love that venue.
And
for those of you who are watching who haven't figured it out, we're talking about everything that goes on in the locker room and our personal lives and our personal point of views, and we're not pulling punches. I'm not doing, like, the shit is called Catchin heat for a reason. I'm not doing it to fucking instigate or piss anybody off or start an argument, but I'm also not pulling any punches. And, like, so if you're watching this, okay.
I think for me, when that comment, and I don't try to, I'm one of those guys, I don't try to ruffle up the feathers and whatnot. But I will be there and banter with people.
Right.
Prime is delicious. And I've been wrestling. I watched wrestling since 2004 and understand it and stuff. So I offer a lot of advice to anybody that will listen. Like, they don't have to fucking listen.
Advice or advice?
Advice.
Okay.
Whatever. I try my best, to help advice or give advice for people that cut promos. Hey, don't cut it somewhere where there's high traffic noise or stuff like that. So when things like that, when those comments are made, don't bother me, because I let my work, I obviously let my work, I'm still employed and they still want me to come down. But they also, some people need to know that I'm the baddest motherfucker they have in that locker room or in any locker room.
Once I left.
And, and I respect, everybody, but I want people to understand that you have to have the training and the mind to do what you want to do. Like,
right.
And the guy that was in question, it can't, I've only seen his referee work once when he was a referee there. And then the next show he's a manager, and good for him. You want to get more involved. But you got to be able to know your limits, and you can't work the workers. If you don't know how to work the crowd, you obviously can't work a worker. Yeah. And I don't let a lot of things bother me. I appreciate the workhorse comment, but and Austin, Austin took offense to the comment, something like that. Austin's a workhorse there.
Yeah. Austin's a workhorse in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if hands down, I want to get in the ring with him again.
I don't.
One of the
No, one more time. If I ever did another one, it would be cool. That's
but at the same time, like they say pro wrestling's for everyone. There's a spot. You're in pro wrestling if you're a fan.
Someone's commenting, and I want to fire back, but I'm not.
He never finished his training.
No, he dealt with him, but like, man, like, don't do that. Don't give me fuel, cause I'll light this son of a bitch on fire.
But
I got a lot of frustration.
Ultimately, like I said, I don't carry the.
There's a lot of people in that locker room never fucking finish their training.
Yeah, that's a lot. I've seen. Again, I'm not saying I'm the best fucking worker out there.
No.
I think my work is solid. It's solid enough to travel the country and wrestle around the country. But
then I book him. Sorry.
But at the same time, I lost my train of thought. At the same time, he never finished his training.
Then why is he in there?
Yeah, and I get it. Like a referee, maybe not be bad, but you have to be trained to be a manager.
Yeah, you have to be trained to do everything. Like, this is not some shit where it's like we didn't watch this shit on television and then we're like, I'm gonna go out and be a professional wrestler this weekend. No, like, we went to school. We got the shit beat out of. Like, I don't know about you, but I got the shit beat out of me.
So I trained again. Plug my best friend JD.
Did JD beat the shit out of you?
Be honest. No. JD, was because I heard the stories that you go to wrestling school, you're gonna get the shit kicked out of you.
You get stretched.
JD gives you what to say, the chops and stuff, but he doesn't. It's not excess. He's not there trying to hurt you. But when I started training, we trained in a backyard. I started training in Washington.
Right.
We used to have to bump on a sheet of ice to break the ice so we can get it off the mats. And then we're bumping on wrestling mats. So I don't know if you've ever been on a wrestling.
Yeah.
When they're cold, they're like concrete.
Yeah.
So we would wrestle on that, and sometimes it'd be me, JD, and my old tag team partner. For months, it'd just be us three.
To answer a few questions that have popped up, the reason I cut my hair is for two reasons. I haven't cut it in like 10 years. Because ever since I started wrestling, I just started doing all that shit. And the other reason is because it would piss off Austin. Austin wanted to do a hair match with me, and like he wanted to cut the ponytail off. Like that was like something he harped on forever. But in reality, like, I wanted to do other things with my hair. I wanted to put dreadlocks back in it, and I knew I couldn't do that because my hair was very frayed from all the dye jobs and just all the shit I put in it, all like hair straighteners and stuff.
Yeah.
I also should be wearing those, and I'm not. If you want to hand them here so people can see me.
Oh, the blue light glasses?
Yeah, so my eyes are so jacked up from contact lenses and from lights. I have, like, this is what I'm like most of the time now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've really gone from being the scariest looking, one of the scariest mofos, because Sin is the scariest looking dude in there.
Yeah. Every aspect of this business you're trained in.
Most of the time.
And
Single's doing good.
It's an odd story how I got in contact with JD. I was in a belt wrestling group, buy, sell, trade, one of those replica belt groups.
Yeah.
I met a guy who got me to JD, and I messaged JD. I just wanted to be involved. I just wanted to either film, help set up.
Yeah.
And then he goes, "Well, I train wrestlers too."
Yeah.
And I'm 24 at the time. Fucking why not?
I only ever give credit to who my trainer is because the people who broke me in. Like, that's where I started.
Yeah.
So, like, I started in Ultimate Championship Wrestling in Yuba City. I was training under Mike Dean, who was formerly known as Darren Richardson, who was the protege of Davey Richards. And then there's a guy called Reggie Bright there, and there was someone else called Eddie Vega, and Captain Canada. So those are like the 4 people that like kind of that were there when I started, and then other people started coming in. Christian Sky had a big like influence on like he was probably like the first brother outside my home company that became a brother. Nathan Brick was another one who's heavily involved. Heavily involved. He gave advice as much as he could, and when he had free time to come in and like teach me, which anytime like a wrestler's willing to teach for free, that's a very nice person right there because they don't fucking do that.
You know.
But no, I've had time, you know, with there's a handful of veterans at least. I don't know if I've ever given them credit, at least publicly, but that they've had more influence on me than they realize. And I've known like I know I've annoyed them, so that's. But like I wrestled for a while, and like the light bulb never really clicked on when I was in training, but the light bulb finally clicked on for me when I had one match with Rick Luxury. My very first match with Rick Luxury, like he did something and like started talking to me, and up to this point I was that worker that's just like, okay, sir, whatever you say, sir, whatever you say, sir. Yep. I was the whipping boy, and you know, Rick backs me up and is like, all right, kid, give me something, and I went, okay, and fucking give him a shot, and I clotheslined him, and I went, and I like paused, and I went, I just clotheslined Rick Luxury, because this was someone like I watched in this in the indies, and I went, oh shit, I forgot to cover him, and I immediately jumped on him and covered. But like, you know, he had an influence on me. Big Ugly had an influence on me. Like I remember I would get to shows and Ugly would be in the ring with his kids. Shout out to Titus and Salem. He'd be in the ring with them, working with them, and I would just sit there and watch. And like I feel like this is something guys don't do. Like when there's vets in the ring, or if there's anybody more experienced than you in the ring, like you should be watching, asking questions. Mm-hmm. Like when he was talking to his kids and he was working with his kids, so I wasn't trying to pester him. But like I was just sitting there watching. And then at one point I went to see Zach Reeve at PCW. Shout out to PCW if you're in the California area, and that's a great school to go to. If you're trying to break in, PCW. They didn't ask me for a plug, but I love and respect Zach Reeve and a lot of the people who come from there.
There's 2 companies I watch.
Yeah.
And PCW is one of them,
mm-hmm.
and SPW obviously was one of them.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the product that PCW puts on, looks good, looks fantastic.
Fantastic, it's so good.
You know,
you got to book Blakesley in Northwest Pro.
I got to book Blakesley. Why? So I can beat him and show him who the best big man is.
No, because I fucking love Corey.
No,
of course, so fantastic.
I'm sure I'll cross paths with Blakesley soon, somewhere. But like you're talking about, you know, I take credit. You know, I give 100% of my credit, or about 95% of my credit to JD. JD's my only in-ring trainer.
That's right.
We have a guy that used to run a company in Oregon, who does a lot of the promo work. That helps me with the promo work.
Yeah.
And I've taken seminars. You know. But Jade, you know, and I'll bat to JD. I'll bat for JD 100%. You obviously know I will.
Right.
He is my legit only in-ring.
That's fantastic that you can get all of that from one person. Which the only people you can do that here is like, you know, like the Uglies Ever area, or someone like Choopy who trained under. Nothing but mad respect for Choopy, by the way.
I love Choopy.
He was at my very first show when I went as a kid, and so the fact that I became a fan of his and saw him at my very first wrestling show as a child, and then wrestled him at my last match, I think is very poetic and just kind of sweet. Yeah. That wasn't the plan all along. It just kind of worked out that way.
Yeah.
But I left out 2 names, and like I can't live it down if I don't say something. But Sean Gunn, for better or for worse, taught me a lot. Because that dude, there was a time where I wanted to kill him, but I learned some lessons that I needed to learn through him. And Joe Gamble, who is another unsung hero. I don't feel like he gets enough credit. I don't think I wish, you know, he could take off because he's so damn good. Joe Gamble, like, we used to have a ring set up, and that dude would, even if it was just me and him, he would show up and he would just run chain wrestling with me. That's all he did. Chain wrestle, chain wrestle, chain wrestle, chain wrestle. I got good at chain wrestling because of Joe Gamble. Like that was it.
All right.
Questions.
So Austin made a comment here. We're talking about.
Someone asked me how the single is. The single's doing great. Last time I saw it was plus 1,000 views.
All right. Don't hit me.
What?
I've never heard it.
You've never listened.
But when I leave later, I'll listen to it on my plane.
I just wrote a new one though.
On my jet plane that I come down to do this podcast that Vince McMahon lends me.
Your Honda jet plane. Oh wait, you can't afford a Honda. You're a pro wrestler.
Yeah. I really work at a paper mill. I can't.
Is that where you work? Is paper mill?
Yeah, I work at a paper mill.
You are so redneck.
That is an old man. We were talking about.
I work in the mill.
We were talking about that old soccer venue that Wild West ran in. And Austin said he ruined the venue.
Yep.
Now, from what...
Do you not know the story?
From what I heard was...
It was Tyson.
No, from what I heard, why it happened, why they lost the venue was somebody peed out back.
It was Austin. No, okay, so here's...
Austin,
here's what happened.
I pee.
Here's the thing. I love that venue because it reminded me of the bingo hall in ECW. It reminded me it was not hot. Like it was like our bingo hall. Like it was very nice. It was big. It was great. Like it drew a crowd. It was always awesome. But Tyson took a leak back there because he didn't want to walk in gear to the bathroom, and they have cameras back there. And this is a huge $1 million facility, and he took a piss back there, and then Austin follows suit, and they caught Austin, and. So it's really Tyson's fault.
Well.
But that's why we lost that. Here's the other shit that pissed me off. There are so many empty water bottles, and there is a closet back there, guys. Go into the closet, piss into a bottle, and throw that away. That's stupid.
And
it's their fucking fault.
I love Austin.
Fuck off.
And I don't have anything bad to say about Tyson.
I got plenty bad to say about Tyson.
But at the same time, it's a mistake. But I would never at my venue in Northwest Pro go. They got one men's bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
I will wait to use that bathroom, or find a bottle, get secluded and pee in the bottle. I will never go outside and pee at the venue.
Oh, people who have been taught proper etiquette would know that.
Yeah.
Austin's just a redneck. That's his thing. He pisses in the woods.
He comes out the Luke Combs like a cowboy's bitch. And I wanted to touch on something too. You just said the locker, the proper etiquette.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, you got a deep ass question.
International paper. No, Sean. I work at West Rock in Tacoma. Great paper mill. Love it. If you ever need your paper needs, westrock.com. I don't even know if you can order, if you can buy online.
You just believe in the company that much? You give them a plug?
So, I did security at where I work now for 2 years, and I fell in love with, you kind of think about it. You're like, well, this is really how paper is made. Yeah. You see the paper making process, that stuff you use every day, and now I work there. I love my job. I'll give them a plug all day.
I have to give a plug to Reaper Apparel Co. because I'm an official ambassador. And
you one of them bitches.
I'm one of them guys. So go to Reaper Apparel Co. Go on my Instagram, which it's somewhere on here. I know it is. I bet you I can get. Yeah. Woo! The little thing down there. Go to the middle one, and check out the website. Message me for a code to get a discount.
Oh, Sean, you work at International Paper? Yeah, we sell. I think we sell our big paper rolls to them. But
etiquette. That's right.
Etiquette.
You have ADHD, don't you?
No, I don't know. Yeah, probably.
I do too. That's the fun part. Easily distracted.
And Austin said, he's redneck. He's not afraid to piss anywhere, but learned his lesson.
He apologized.
Sorry. He apologized, and obviously, hopefully, it never happens again.
Well, he's not a repeat fuck up. He's not a repeat offender, and that's the other thing. Is I'll accept an apology for someone who's not a repeat offender, even though Austin broke my ribs twice. But I've like fucked up his shoulder, or he's fucked up my head.
You know, I'm not gonna get into locker room etiquette or anything, but etiquette, like, you know, I won't go pee at my job.
Yeah.
Outside, unless like I have to.
Yep.
And but when I come to a venue, and especially not my home venue.
Yeah.
And you know they're paying me to come wrestle, I'm not gonna try to make a dumb decision to cost somebody a venue.
Well, the other thing to remember is, like, it's not your home venue, which, for the record, it was the home venue to a lot of us because Wild West was our home. But just because it's not your home doesn't mean it's not somebody's home, so you respect it, period. And,
you know, they make indoor bathrooms for a reason.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you're in gear.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of these fans know we're obviously humans. We're not superheroes that don't pee.
Right.
I work at MP warehouse. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. But you know, and the main thing is you learn your lesson.
Right.
And you move on, and you don't do it again. But you know, at some point you got to understand. Like, I've walked into my home venue bathroom, and I'll be blowing it up. And there'll be fans that walk in, and I'll walk out, and I'll be pulling up my singlet straps.
I remember going to shows as a kid, and I believe it was Mike Hayashi was working at the show that I went to when I was a kid, and like he was wearing some very androgynous clothing at the time, and went into the men's bathroom as I was standing there, and like wrestlers were coming and use the bathroom, like just use the fucking bathroom, stop being a fucking animal. Jason Amos, you know who that is?
Oh my god. Sign guy, get out of the stream! I can't deal with your bullshit right now.
When Jillian Hall was visiting an independent show, she had to go to the little sports entertainers room, but there was only one at the venue. I told her, just go out there and do it. People will say that looked like Jillian Hall, but why would she be here at this local independent? She went and did it, and people figured it out. And just someone that looked like Jillian Hall. That's funny.
So Sean says the bathroom at the Civic Center that we wrestle at is small. It is. So you literally walk in. It's one stall like for the shitter.
Yeah.
And then one urinal. That's it. Okay. Last show I was at. Somebody's in the bathroom and I have to shit.
Yeah.
So I'm like fuck. So I had Keith Ryan, my good old buddy. I was like, hey, go in the women's bathroom. Make sure it's clear.
Yeah. And
then stand guard while I use the women's restroom. I go in the women's restroom. They got 4 fucking stalls.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, we got one. And then can't get at least 2? And I sat there in the handicap stall, and I blew it up. Your stream.
I blew it up.
Podcast is your stream and talking about pissing. I see what you did there. Yeah, you better be careful before I shake you to death again.
That's fucking fantastic. I like how we somehow got to pissing and shitting. Speaking of small rooms, what's the smallest locker room you've ever changed in?
Smallest locker room?
I got a really good one.
Okay, smallest locker room.
And I don't mean like of guys, I just mean like the room.
Of room?
The room. What's the smallest room?
That's a good one. I would have to say we wrestled at this company in Tacoma, Washington, and the locker room was
dead air, man. You can't.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think, man. It wasn't small. So the room was probably the size of that room.
That one right there?
Yeah, but
that's not small.
You have 30 guys in there, which I'm not a big fan. Like, you know, Neil Road or Brew House. Which do you prefer?
Brew House.
The Neil Road, is that the?
That's the public center.
Community center.
Community center. I like the Brew House.
I like the Brew House because then I can go through the crowd and flip people off.
I like the Brew House because there's multiple ways to get up and down the stairs.
Yeah.
There's a place where we can all just arch the back of the U-Haul trailer and let I
car?
it was a U-Haul trailer truck.
No, so I'll take that back. So I had we did this,
To answer your question though, mine's the brew house simply because you
I
can go down, like you can go downstairs and get separated from everyone. They got the TVs. I remember one of my favorite shows was one of the last ones I did, and that's probably because I wasn't handling business or rewriting shit. But we were sitting down watching the fucking playoffs. We were watching the Niners. Me and you were like, fucking go! Like, we're yelling while matches are going on. And, like, I don't even, like, I think the game ended during, like, the third or fourth match. And I'm like, oh, is the show started already?
Yeah. No, so if we go back to the locker room and so we did a show at our home venue, how to get into our car and drive to Seattle, which is about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was like right when I first started, so I was like the first match, right?
Yeah.
First or second match. And I had to change in my car. So, smallest locker room, my fucking passenger seat.
What kind of car?
It was a Durango. It was a Durango. But I had JD driving, me, another guy, Taekwon Bro, and another guy. And we're all just changing.
Taekwon Bro!
Oh, it's amazing. Bro.
That's great!
I tell you, the most over babyface up there, Taekwon Bro.
Taekwon Bro.
And, yeah, so, yeah.
Smallest locker room I ever changed in was at a Mexican restaurant. It was a lucha show. It was at a Mexican restaurant.
Oh,
probably 12, 15 luchadors, grown men, and we were in a broom closet. And when I say a broom closet, I mean a broom closet. Imagine, like, if you ever worked in fast food, ever?
No.
No,
I take that back, yes.
You know what a walk-in looks like?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know that small-ass walk-in?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Oh, yeah, there was a
Like,
company.
basically, like, a little bit bigger than this little area we have right here.
There was a company in Bremerton that did that. They would change where the meat was.
Oh my god, that's so unsanitary, bro. I'll give them that one. The shower at the brew house is nice too. I like having the shower.
Oh yeah, that little back room where they put all the food.
Yeah.
Talking about hot dogs and a handshake. Not that I ever got a hot dog and handshake from Wild West, but when I was telling Devin all that shit, I had just made a hot dog, and I'm eating a hot dog as I'm bitching at him. like I'm you know how like you know,
okay, so like look at him, man. You're talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I'm so mad I wasn't in there for that. Did a show with the locker room is in a junkyard and a cow was in the locker.
Hey, listen here. Don't talk.
Don't
talk about Blakesley like that.
Are you talking about Lucha Champs? That's gotta no. Oh my god, I was wrong. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit you. Worst locker room I was ever in. Like they did this show, and it was some janky ass. It's the light,
okay.
But it was some janky ass. It was some janky ass company, and janky ass ring. Like hard, you know what a lucha ring feels like?
Yeah.
Oh, bro, they're the worst. They're so mean. But it was one of them rings, and we go back. The locker room's back there, boys. I walk back. Swear to God, as soon as I walk through the curtain, like as close as this table is right here, chicken coops. That's not the best part, okay? Chicken coops, okay? Then over here, like, and I mean hundreds of chickens. And I don't even think they were chickens. I think they were roosters.
It was in Texas.
But over here were like 3 or 4 different pits.
Right.
So, like, I never confirmed nothing, and I'm not saying where it was, but I'm pretty sure it was a cockfighting ring. I wrestled one show there, got paid, never went back. I went over there to put someone over, and really just later on regretted it. And I was like, there are some things that just the money isn't worth it. There's not enough money. But yeah, that's up there as far as ridiculous ass locker rooms.
I've only wrestled like on like 2 lucha shows, and once was like when I first started, where I had this another one of our trainees that couldn't get it right, couldn't get in ring work, just couldn't fucking get it.
Yeah.
And I ended up wrestling him because he was like he's not decent enough, but he knew the basics, and would just sandbag me. and I'd go, hey man, like we're driving down together, and I go, hey man, my shoulder's kind of messed up, so please I need you like to really help assist.
Yeah.
Right. Not one assist, not one post, not nothing, and I look at JD in the crowd, and I'm just like, and from that point on, like I'm real selective of like who I want to work with.
Right. I generally am too. Like my favorite people to work are like young up and comers. Like there's one person I ever got to work. I fucking wish I would have gotten to. And that was Guapo. Guapo.
No, he
Vibe.
Yeah.
One of my favorite people to work because he was always down for whatever idea I had, and I'll give him all the credit in the world. Just great athleticism, great person. Was Chris Blaze. Chris Blaze and Anthony Nova are Chris Blaze and Anthony Nova. I always say are like my kids.
Hey, if Anthony Nova watches this, the next time I see him wrestle with a shirt on, and you're fucking 100 pounds, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you.
No, you're not, because don't touch my kids, don't touch my little brothers. I have to fuck you up.
No.
Nova I like Nova's get up. It's different. Like it's good, and he gets out there and gives it his all. Man,
No.
I wrestled that tag match with them, and that show I showed up. I was going through some shit. I wasn't even booked on the show. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, heavyweight champion wasn't booked on the show, but I wasn't booked on the show, but I went up.
We didn't need you.
Right. No. Clearly. Yeah. But I went up and did the show because Billy got hurt 5 minutes before, and I borrowed someone's tights. I won't say who. Tyson. I borrowed someone's tights. Like, Greg comes in, and had anybody else asked me, like, we need you, I'd told them to go fuck themselves. But Greg came in and was like, hey, Billy got hurt, and Billy's like my brother, and I went and was like, what happened? His ankle's fucked up. I'm like, we need you to wrestle this match. And I said, okay. So I borrowed someone's tights, wore someone else's boots. First time I'd ever worn someone else's shoes, other than my own boots, in the ring. But I get in there, and I'm talking with the boys, and I was like, all right, guys, you're going to do your stuff with Adam. When I get in there, I was like, Nova's like, you're going to give me the heat. And I went, okay, cool. I was like, you know what I do? And he's like, yeah, don't worry about it. And I fucking love this kid. He is responsible for the greatest sell. He took one of the meanest clotheslines I've ever given. But, like, I get in there, and I tell Nova, I was like, I'm going to do a little bit, and I'm going to tag out because I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
I got out there, and I'm feeling it. And I told Nova, I was like, can I chop the shit out of you? And he's like, yeah. And he was all for it, all gung-ho. And he knew I was going to smoke him, too. Like, and I just whop over him the shit out of him. And he just bumps it, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Bubba.
No, and because when I'm in the locker room, I stand back and I listen to the people putting together matches, right? Uh-huh. And we were talking in the hallway,
yeah.
And I'm listening to Vibe and Havoc Reigns go over their match.
Right.
The one thing I commend Vibe for is sticking to the guns of what they had planned.
Yeah.
I heard it was going to change, and then it was either Blaze or Nova, and they go, no, we're keeping it this way.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people don't understand it. Is you are allowed to stand your ground and keep it a certain way.
Yeah.
Just because you think they have, your opponents think they know more than you, right, or have the vet status that they can bully you.
Yeah. A real vet will never bully you. That's the fact. True vet, a respected vet, will never bully you.
So I commend them for that, because I've seen a lot of times where people get back down, and they just listen because they're scared.
Yeah.
I'm not here to talk shit, but I'm not,
you are here to talk shit. That's why it's called Catchin heat.
But I'm also, I'm not here to be like, I'm scared of Tyson. I'm not. Like, nobody should be scared of Tyson. Nobody should be scared of anybody.
Yeah.
We're all professionals. We're all here to get paid. And the one thing I was trying to I told Greg too, after it was, I was sitting there, me and Austin are, we're getting our heads right for our match. We're right before or right after Havoc Reigns and Vibe, and they start playing the Champions music.
Yeah.
And you know, Tyson was like, no, go tell the music lady to stop the music and change it to Vibes music. Right. Now, and I was like, that's gonna be dead air, and the crowd's gonna get all confused while music plays, stops, and then another music plays. You know, I said, just go. You know, like that's the wrestling business. Is you go on the fucking fly,
right? And
you go, and I sat back there, and Austin was right there. I said, go. I said, who gives a shit? Go.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, the last show, and really, what a lot of it has to do is like the champion's music. The champion should never go out first, people. Like, if you're the champion should never go out first. Well, champs should never go out first. That's just proper. That's the way it's been done. That's the way it's supposed to be done, right? Anywhere you go, has the champ ever gone out first? It's always second, right?
I don't ever pay attention.
Here's what I will say. Normally, it's heels out first, unless the heel is the champion. That's the way I was taught. I've heard arguments that I've heard someone say Luxury say something about the fact that it doesn't fucking matter. Heels out first. To which, if he said that, cool, whatever. But like the way I was taught is champs out first. Arch, Fear, Sin. Yeah, we've been over that. Fucking get with the program.
I think that as much as like on the TV, the champion's always out last.
Yeah.
He's the spectacle.
Yeah.
Right? To me, I don't give a shit.
Well, we're trying to create the spectacle that people see on TV within the indies, just with more freedom. So you still honor the rules that the champion goes out last. But, like, to sit there and make a big hoopla as you're standing out the curtain is just fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like, that's unprofessional. You don't sit there and go, no, you need to change that and play their music. Just fucking walk. My last match, I went out first. Like, I shouldn't have, but I was like, Arch goes out first. Booker's owner's call. Sure. Man. I shouldn't have been out first, but whatever. I was at a point where I didn't give a fuck. I wasn't gonna argue. And that's the other thing is, if you're a professional, you're not gonna make a scene. Like, the arguments you have behind the curtain, that's one thing. But like, while the show's going on, you maintain professionalism. You do it for the fans. You don't do it for the fucking booker. You don't do it for any owner. You don't do it for any promoter. Like, you are there for the fans. Like, if you have a relationship with the booker, if you have a friendship, that's one thing. But like, it's a fucking business. Like,
well, and that's where I get back to people where people think we're talking about this off camera, obviously. Remember where I was like, where people think they know more than they do, or they think they have a place above people.
Right.
Oh, you fucked the chat up.
Is that me? Did I do that?
Yeah. So, and I've seen it in every locker room. I'm not just gonna single one out, but I've seen it in every locker room where, you know, somebody's been around since the inception of the company.
Yeah.
And they think they run the shit.
Yeah.
You know, part of this fucking wrestling business is we do things on the fly. Shit changes at a drop of a hat.
Blaze is watching. We're over here praising you, Blaze.
Oh, Blaze is watching?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Blaze, the next time we fucking can cross it up, I'll fucking do some shit.
Launch him into the air.
Hell yeah, launch him, come down with a drop kick, fucking big bump. Oh shit. Oh, wait.
Finish your thought. I interrupted you.
You know, but that's the thing too is that the fact is people, and again I'm gonna throw it out there.
Say it in.
Tyson thinks he's the big bad wolf, and you know there is a lot of bigger, badder people in that locker room.
Yeah,
you know, and
the big bad people don't have to say they're big and bad.
Yeah,
that's the other thing.
I said it once in a chat to somebody.
Well, this is the thing is, like, I think this is honestly why me and you never came to blows or anything, like, or why we never got into. We had a mutual understanding.
But you
like, if something was to pop off in the locker room, I knew who was going to handle it with me.
Yeah.
Like, there was never any conversation, especially after our first match. I was like, if something pops off, depending on who was in the locker room.
I'm not trying to die. Hey, I'll catch you. It's all good. I'm trained.
But
I won't drop you.
I knew.
Unlike some people.
Damn. I knew I had gathered enough respect that, and here's the thing. I was just say about Tyson. Whatever his ability in the ring is one thing. On a personal level, I love him on a personal level. He's been good to me, and on my way out, he made the night very special, and him and Russ both did. And for that meant a lot to me. A lot of the boys made it special. So I'm not gonna sit here and
He's a fair.
I'm not gonna sit here and completely shit on him, but Tyson acts out of sorts sometimes, and he's a big kid. And I don't think he tries to do it. I think it's just the generation he grew up in. It's the business he came up in. But, it's just, bro, you are not the biggest and the bad in the locker room. Maybe you can fight, maybe you can, but, you need to. But the other thing, I think, he'll tell me, he's like, I know I got a lot to learn. Okay, well, then stop arguing.
Yeah.
Shut up, stop arguing.
And that's the thing, too, is no matter how many years you have in the business, you're constantly learning. You're constantly evolving.
Yeah. There's no Reno was the first place. Wild West was the first place that I was kind of established. This is the guy. This is the guy who's in charge.
Yeah.
And I didn't ask for that shit. Normally that's not a thing. You just kind of respect the vets. You show up, you work, and everybody minds their own business and does their shit. The owner's normally back there to delegate and tell people what to do. But in the locker room, it was kind of left for the boys to fend for themselves. And
Chris says
I had already started telling people what to do and handling business in the locker room. And then it kind of got handed to me hey, you be the guy.
Yeah.
And I went, okay, then I'll be the guy. Hi, y'all, just stopping by the show. Love you, Nova.
Yeah.
You know I fucking do.
What are those little? Those are just emojis that don't just show up. What are those little boxes?
Zach said, you look good without a shirt on, so don't wrestle with a shirt on.
Yeah, I said, the only gripe I have about you, Nova, is take your shirt off. You're 100 pounds.
We got bellies. We can't take our shirts off.
That's why I wear a singlet and a flannel.
Man,
you're 100 pounds.
I had this great... I legitimately wanted Nova to play my little brother because he had the red tights and he had the black tank top. And I was like, dude, what if I played his crazy-ass older brother? I thought it'd be fantastic. I thought it'd be money all day. I never got around to do it. I wound up doing something similar with Billy, and that was awesome, too, because Billy's another brother. But, damn, I think me and Nova could have had a lot of fun.
Yeah, no.
But I'm happy he's doing Vibe. I think that's a great fit.
Oh yeah.
I think they're money all day long.
I think, some people go together the tag team, and as much as I haven't seen any, I've seen a little bit of Anthony Nova by himself.
Mm-hmm. He's fucking great.
I've seen, I've obviously seen Chris live, and I've seen Chris 1-on-1. But they just go together.
Chris,
and it's funny because I think when they first started the tag team, Chris was cutting a promo in the ring, and I don't know how old Anthony is, and I think Chris is 24, 25-ish. And Chris goes, oh, this kid. And I was like, you guys look the same age. And
everyone's kids to us, though.
Yeah. But,
once you hit 30, everybody's kids.
Yeah. And then, but I watched, and I think...
Nova Blaze? What were you...
Huh?
You watched what?
I watched that first match. It was Tyson and Devin versus... No, I'm not... I only have one tag team partner. And he's 20. Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry. Austin, I only have one tag team partner that I tag with, that I trust.
JD?
Yep, absolutely. Again, that's just because the chemistry we have together.
The thing with Nova and Blaze that I'm happy to finally see is they've got confidence.
Yes.
And that's a lot of it. That's a big deal. Is if you lack confidence, if you lack a surety in yourself, then it affects everything. You second guess everything. I thought Nova had just ability for days 2 years ago.
Yeah.
When I first worked Blaze, my first match in Wild West.
Not that match, yeah.
My first match in Wild West was Blaze, and I told him, hey, we're gonna be working in Reno. And before we even went up there, I told him, I was like, hey, I want you to look good. So why don't you come out to train and let's go over a few things. And I know I don't know how you're feeling, but that way you can get some chemistry with me in the ring. And my goal is I was confident in myself. like because I know how to do the big man, smaller guy.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
I didn't think I intimidated, but just in case I did, because I know I can be an off-putting kind of like I know I can be intimidating. I can kind of be an asshole. But I wanted to make sure he felt comfortable, and I wanted him to know that this is not about me. I know I'm gonna get over. Like I know I'm gonna do good. But I know his pops was working very closely with the booker, and I knew it could lead to big things, and so I was like, I want to make sure you look good. Wrestled our match. It was a banger. It was a great fucking finish. I fucking clothesline, and he stunned the whole spun out thing. And then I went in the locker room and I sat down and I looked at the owner and I said, "That's your next mid card champion. Like he's the next outlaw champion." And that was just like, okay. Like, yeah, nobody asked me to. Like the owner didn't ask me to. They didn't ask me to do anything. I just walked in and said, "Just so you know, that's your next mid card champion." Then I minded my own goddamn business.
Ton of ability from that tag team. Like I think
absolutely.
I think if it's done correctly, they can be a big over face tag. I mean, are they?
Very good choice of words. If it's done correctly,
I'm mad because I don't, and it sounds bad because I don't know who's face or heel in that story.
Mm-hmm.
If Chris is still here?
This is somebody in the locker room.
Is Vibe a heel?
No, they're baby faces.
Or baby face. Okay, then Chase Havoc's the heel.
I've heard some stuff. No, they're tweeners.
There's no such thing as a tweener. No such thing. I've
heard some stuff, and because as much as I try and stay out of wrestling business, because I'm pissed off at people and I have my issues. Here's what I'll tell you, Nova and Blaze. Baby boy Blaze, I know how much you want to be a heel, and I think your money, whether you're babyface or heel, please fucking stay face. Like I think Vibe can be like the fucking Rascals. Like you remember Rascals from Impact?
Yeah,
dude, I think they could be money all day.
Well, the thing is with
especially Nova because they got like such good looking fucking faces.
Well, they got Guapo too. Guapo's a handsome young man. Handsome young man. I saw him because this is the first time I've seen Guapo.
I disapprove.
The first time I've seen Guapo, I was like, "You are like," and he dressed like his. I don't know if that's his gimmick. He's like a '60s guy.
Yeah.
But like I got '60s vibes from him.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like it.
Man, fucking
heels coming soon.
Well, it's because I got.
Well, I know Heels season 2's coming soon.
I know. No matter what I do, like this is the reason I still know what's going on is because I know no matter what I do, people are still going to talk to me about shit and ask me for advice. And I had someone very close.
Sharks, just saying.
I had someone very close to Chris Blaze talk to me about some stuff, and I gave my honest opinion because that's what I do. Hey man, explore and do what you want. Fuck what anybody else says. Fuck what I say. Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Whatever makes you happy.
Like.
I think you'll make more money and be more successful as a babyface tag team, as a trio, and here's why. Okay? Longest reigning tag team champions, most dominant force, what were they?
Where?
In Wild West.
Fucking Desperados?
Desperados, they were heels.
I'm like, I don't... Were you guys, though?
We had the belt. We had the tag belts the longest. Yeah. I had the world title the longest. People are just coming off of heels retaining forever. And like if they're to win the belts, if that's to happen, like if I don't know what's going on. I don't know what booking's going on. I don't know what's happening. I don't know the future. I don't give a shit. Like, but like if that's to happen, like I don't think a long-term heel faction would be good. I think they definitely need someone because these guys get sympathy so fucking good.
Well,
they're so like Nova don't even need to try to get sympathy. Nova takes a bump and you're just like, oh,
well, poor baby. 100 pounds soaking wet. But I agree. I agree to a point. Babyface, they are like
West Side Story vibes.
They would probably make more money as a babyface.
Yeah. But
then I can also see them as heels, pulling this where we have the vibe, you don't fit our vibe, and, you gotta have the right ideas, right?
Yeah.
So like if Chris, Guapo, and Anthony were like, oh, we're a vibe, and they go to the crowd, you're not a vibe.
Yeah.
there's the cheap heat right there.
Yeah.
You know, and
somebody's mad at the podcast. I don't know.
Hey, if you guys are listening, you can take the ideas. I don't care.
Yeah, we're just here to talk shop. Like, we're not here to tell you what to do. Like, that's the great. This thing is like, I've never been there to tell people what to do. I've never sat there and said, do this. What I've always come to is like, here's what I think you should do.
Money, yeah.
Here's what I think you should do. Here's what how I think you'll make money. What do you want to do?
Like, I think it's especially if
big bread.
I do got a big ass head, right? I think one, I want you guys to establish. I don't want you guys, if you guys are gonna go heel everywhere. Yeah,
well, Blaze is already pretty much heel everywhere.
Yeah, so the big thing with what people do wrong now is they go heel one place and then they're babyface 30 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
And if you guys go heel, which I think, Chris, you are already heel for the most part, go heel. Full heel everywhere.
Yeah.
That's when I turned heel, I don't work babyface anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing is like, when I first did the Delirious Deranged thing, people ask me where I got the gimmick, and I always say, what gimmick?
Dang it, I don't have the vibe?
What gimmick? You can't sit with
I don't have the vibe.
Bro, it's the beard.
Oh.
You're not clean shaven like them.
Oh.
Like.
Dang it.
Yeah, you got too much hair.
Shave it?
Like, you got to be clean shaven on bottom or clean shaven on top.
Shave it?
Like, Blaze is bald on top, but he's got the beard, and then Nova's got, like, no beard, but he's got the clean cut on top. Guapo's, like, somewhere in between, but no beard, but, like, the nice medium blowy hair.
Got those locks, man.
The locks, man. Like, it's a look thing, man. You don't fit the vibe, bro.
And that's the one thing I love about being in the locker room and seeing people, because then, like, you still become a fan. You know, like Guapo and Vibe can be something magical.
Yeah.
You know, if it's done correctly.
Yeah.
Through them, through bookers, through promoters, if it's done correctly, you can have probably one of the best tag teams on the West Coast, if not, you know, on this side of the country.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, who knows? Take over the whole country. You know.
I think if they can have confidence and that's just like...
That's the key, is confidence.
Figure out what works. Figure out what doesn't work. The other point I was going to make is when I was saying when I started doing the thing, I originally started is... I just started doing the heel thing when I just started the gimmick. And then I got to a point where it's like certain people would cheer me, certain people wouldn't. But I liked that because when you think about life, good and bad is a matter of perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, depending on what you believe... In reality, good and bad is a matter of perspective. Like, what I think is a good thing is a bad thing to someone else. If you look at the character of Andrew Arch, he had his moral code. Like, he had the people he took care of. He had the people he had their backs and he kept under his wing to take care of. And he would, by any means necessary, take care of them. And sometimes that meant smashing some people's faces. Sometimes that meant doing underhanded things, but he did whatever it took to win.
Yeah.
So when you talk about the word tweener, like, some people I believe people cheered me. I got more cheers doing heel shit than I did anything else. But I think that's because, like, people understood the depth of the character. And it was so relatable, especially, like, in the world we live in where people are just so fucking hated on for being different.
Like, well, like you were talking about, you know, you got cheered more as a heel. My music hits in Northwest Pro, and I come out, I'm cheered until I make them boo me.
Yeah.
They see me come out, they're cheering. And then I don't mind making them boo me. I really don't. You know, Charles says sometimes if you're the only heel or face, the promotion can get overloaded with them. I feel if you only want to work, you know, obviously you're an independent contractor. This is your product. Where I told you it's like your money in me is a heel. I can be a babyface, but I'm a heel. Like. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you want it to work, you may have to be selective with your bookings.
Heels can, but I mean, like, you can be a heel, but you can be funny, and people will laugh at it.
Yeah.
I feel like heels will get cheered in the bar, and then they get booed in a massive kid population, like, especially when it comes to the crowd. But for me, I always fucking... That was the other thing I was mad about, losing the big stadium. Or not the stadium, the fucking... What was it? The
Indoor soccer rink?
Yes. Dude, I was killing it in merch, bro.
Oh yeah,
all the kids that were there, I was selling so many masks and T-shirts. Oh, dude, I remember I walked away with like $400 or $500 in my pocket one night.
So to go back to the vibe thing is you see like see something kind of before everybody else sees it.
Yeah.
Right. Like they may not see them thinking this thing's gonna be special. They're just gonna we're friends. We're gonna team up.
Mm-hmm.
But like me and you, we're like, hey, we see this shit could work.
Yeah.
And especially with Vibe being, a Vibe being something big in the world right now is, hey, why not take something like that, because everyone's like, what's the vibe for Friday night? What's the vibe for Saturday night?
Yeah.
Well, shit, guess what the vibe is? You got Anthony, you got Chris, you got Guapo. The vibe is them. And guess what? You can't vibe with us.
Yeah.
There's
different ways to spin the gimmick. Whether it's face or heel.
Yeah,
it's like,
I think it's money.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, done correctly, which I think those three can. Yeah, money, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Shout out to Gunn for coming up with that name.
Who you did?
Gunn?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was standing there when he came up with it, because they were talking about. I think he was talking to Blaze about what should the name be. And
Vibe's perfect.
And I had come up with something stupid that basically the acronym was PMS. But I was being an asshole. But he's like vibe, but like with an E and without the E with a B, and I was like, ooh. Yeah. I was like, I like that a lot. That's you don't fit the vibe, and so like, I like that. We've been here for an hour and 40 minutes, and we've only actually have like one question that we had prepared. What's your other fucking question? Because I know you have 4 of them.
Did you have any? No. All right.
No, I had a bunch off the dome. I know me.
All right.
I can call it on the fly.
All right. Well, the only question I really want to know: biggest pet peeve in wrestling.
My biggest pet peeve.
Yes.
Man, I thought the questions were gonna be more in depth and harsher. God, my biggest pet peeve. Being an asshole. Like, just unnecessary. Being an asshole for no fucking reason. Walking around like you got guys that have to prove that they have the biggest dick.
So I'll tell you right now, I got a small dick.
I can't stand when guys have to just get their jollies off by, taking advantage of you or like whooping your ass for no fucking reason. And like if I've ever wailed on somebody, I had a fucking reason. Like, but because I'm guilty of it too. We're all guilty of losing our temper and hitting people and like doing shit. But just people who take liberties for no fucking reason other than to get their jollies off. That's probably
5 with the backwards 3.
Oh, I like that.
Well, there's 3 of them.
Yeah, that's good.
Smart.
That's smart.
Oh, that's smart.
I'm not that smart. I can.
So I'll kind of ask myself my own question.
Okay, what's your biggest pet peeve?
And my biggest pet peeve is people that take bookings and do not train. And take bookings just because they say, I don't have time, or I want to get more ring time, or stuff like that. They take the shitty bookings.
You are calling some people out right now.
I am. And whoever watches probably knows who I'm talking to.
Yep.
Is they refuse to make the excuses to come. They make the excuses to come, not to come to training.
Yep.
But they'll make the, time to go to a shitty wrestling company, and work shitty talent, and think it's fantastic. And then also, to the side note is when you have, when people have a shitty match, my other biggest pet peeve is when in your heart it was shitty, but you still go, hey man, fucking fire match.
when you can't shit on yourself. Yeah,
and you've heard it from me where I've had that was a shitty match.
Yeah.
I accept it. We all have shitty matches. But that's my biggest pet peeve is people like refuse to go to training and then wonder why they get the shitty bookings or wonder why
they never progress, wonder why they never get anywhere.
And
why can't I be champion?
I could tell I could care less about championships.
Bro, that was like when I was doing stuff up in Reno and I was dealing with the locker room. That was one of the biggest fucking gripes I heard. Why can't I be champion? Fucking, can you call a match? Well, I can like kind of start in the back and it was like, so you can't call on the fly.
So what I go off of is, so
I can call shit. I can't
like
make someone listen.
Like Northwest Pro is my priority. I love that company. I'm trying to help build that company as best I can with JD.
Right.
I've held every title in that company. I've held the heavyweight title, and I held the heavyweight title because I had to to bring it back.
Yeah.
Because we had an out-of-state guy who didn't want to wrestle anymore, or who was trying to get out of wrestling. Mm-hmm. So I won it and had to bring it back. So I didn't want a heavyweight title. Like, yeah, you want titles. You want, the promoter and booker to believe in you to be in that spot. Mm-hmm. I don't want it just because I have to hold it to make sense for somebody else.
Right. Chris Blaze just said, I don't give a fuck about titles, honestly. I just want to have good matches.
Absolutely.
And not look dumb.
Absolutely.
I just want to tell good stories. Like, that's it. I want to be known for being a solid worker, having good matches. Like, there's always that small part of me that like wants to be the top guy. I feel like if you don't want to be the top guy, if you don't want to be the champion, why the fuck are you doing this?
Right.
Like, everybody wants to be the top. But, like, once you get there, it's just about staying solid and having good matches and just doing, like, not fucking up, not looking dumb.
Well, that's the thing, too, is you surround yourself with, and I'll tell you, like, the last 10 matches I've had, all been fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to think about how far back I was going.
How many matches have you had?
About the last 10 matches I've had, I've been really fucking proud of. And the crowd's been into it. Shit like that. I've gone back to the bag. JD's, congratulating me. The other guy that helps me out with promos, like, that's fucking great. Mm-hmm. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I really care. Like, I love the crowd and stuff like that. They'll tell me if the match is good or bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are like basic fucking questions. But, and honestly, if JD's telling me I'm doing something good or bad, or if the other guy's telling me I'm doing something good or bad, that's what I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. Because ultimately, they're going to give me the feedback I want to improve.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing is I feel some people don't want to improve.
Yeah.
They're fine wrestling once every 2 months and hold be half a tag team champion. I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. I want to wrestle as much as I can. Mm-hmm. And then when like companies in Tennessee or companies in Texas go, yeah, we want Zach back. Mm-hmm. He's good. Right? That's what I want.
Yeah.
Because I bust my ass.
Yeah.
And it's a slap in the face when people that don't want to train, don't want to fucking put in the work, but try to get the rewards by having the bookings. And that's why I've gotten real selective on my bookings. Uh-huh. Like, I used to travel every weekend. I don't anymore. I want to.
You get to a point where you can't.
Well, yeah, but with work, with my work schedule, it's tough. But it's like, plane tickets are expensive right now too. But it's just.
Although I don't put a lot of weight into titles, and I will always be willing to play the part in Grateful Title Run, but it isn't my main focus as a worker. I want to have great matches as well for the fans who are buying the tickets, shirts, etc., and to become the best of my craft. Exactly. You want to become the best you can at your craft. Like, it's art. One of the best quotes I ever heard, and I think I told you this, is like, why do wrestlers wrestle on canvas?
Because art.
Because art is created on canvas.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things.
And honestly, Anthony, the way you worded that, beautiful. Yeah. And I like the what are the parentheses? Even if others don't believe it, others don't have to believe it. Other workers don't have to believe you're the best. If you believe you're the best, and you make the fans believe you're the best, I could care less if Tyson Reigns thinks I'm the best worker. But as long as that boss thinks I'm the best worker that he's got, and the fans think I'm the best, mm-hmm. That's what matters.
Yeah.
I want to be respected among your peers, but I'm not here to impress my peers.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't sit here and try to I never sat here and tried to impress you.
No.
I figured you let your work talk.
And when you get to a point where you stop trying to impress people and you just start trying to do the best you can, like, it gets easier, it gets simpler.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's just like going to work. You're just doing your job. And, like, I can tell you, like, especially to the point that I got to, like, I cared about the matches. and I do care about my matches. I care about every match I have. But like, my payoff wasn't even what I was fucking making. Like, I loved showing up and seeing the boys.
Yeah.
Like that was what it was for me. I got to get out of my depression, got to get out of my house, like come see the boys. Like that's why I would fucking show up. But
I used to say when I was going through my depression and stuff is I want to be in. The reason I love wrestling is because for 15 minutes at a time, the world can't hurt you.
Yes.
And I'm a big tough dude, but I got feelings.
Yeah.
And for 15 minutes, or for the 3 hours I'm at a show, the world can't hurt me.
Yeah.
No, I'm invincible to the world. Unless
you think they can't?
Huh?
I said you think people can't. The world can't hurt you, but fucking companies can hurt you.
Right, but like,
I get what you're saying. When you're in the ring, it's like
nothing matters.
Nothing else exists. Everything kind of fades away.
Yeah.
Every drama, every self-esteem thing, everything that's in your head just goes silent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's when people talk about meditating or they're doing their thing. Like, it is the greatest fucking feeling. There's no high that beats that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but I got to a point, like, every time I got in the ring though, I was getting rocked. Like, my bell was getting rung every fucking match. Like, and I can't attribute it to the people I was in the ring with. I mean, some of it I can.
Yeah.
I can. But especially the last couple ones I had, like, I got rocked both matches with Choopy, and it was not his fucking fault at all. Like,
thank you, Sean. I appreciate that.
What was it? Your last show, MP, was amazing.
I wrestled this guy Wes Lowe. You know Wes?
Yeah.
I wrestled Wes, bro. Hands down, all 3 times I wrestled him, banger matches, bro. I paused him in a fucking match.
Did the pause?
Yeah, he's got a gold controller.
I saw. I saw that. I fucking love Wes. I met him, Gary Galaxy, and I met the not the Misfits, not the Scum. What are they? The little skater board, McLovin, whatever, Shaggy.
Yeah.
Okay, but I met them at Lucha Extreme, I think it was.
See you later, Anthony.
See you later, bud. Love you. You'll have to come on the show. Honestly, I enjoy the story and the match and story and the show. I spend the years doing the Power Ranger gimmick, and then I knew I was never going to be champion, never going to get put over a lot. But when I started doing the Cowboy gimmick, people finally started to look at me as a real worker. Now I care about the thing. And here's the other thing with that is I don't think people will be successful unless whatever you're portraying in the ring is literally a part of you. It's a type of it's an expression of who you are. Like, when I broke in my first couple of years, I did like an 80s hair metal dude.
Right.
And I was always a big hair metal thing. And when I was in school, they called me the real rock of love, Andrew Arch, or the real rock and roller of professional wrestling.
Oh,
and so, like, they called me Brett Michaels all the time. So I was like, all right, I'll be hair metal. But it just wasn't me. And, like, the real me is fucking crazy. Like, as you know.
Yeah.
So when I started doing the crazy guy gimmick, like, it was easy because all I did was embrace those feelings I had and projected them. Like, all the anger you see is 100% real. That's how I feel. It's turned up. It's cranked up. It's unhinged. It's unleashed.
That's funny because every time I walk in the locker room, I'm Zach until the flannel comes on. Until the flannel comes on, gets buttoned up, and it sounds stupid, but I'm not LumberZack until the flannel comes on, and then it's Zach turned to 1,000. I'm
Arch all the time, except I mean, like, that's just me, but like I'm dialed down.
Yeah,
like I'm chilled out. I laugh and I have a good time, but everyone knows I have a fucking temper. Like, and I'm a very opinionated person, and if you say something or ask my opinion, I'm gonna give it to you, whether you fucking like it or not. But that's just me, and I accept that that's who I am, and people don't like it, they don't like it. Whatever.
I mean, that's the thing, too, is...
Mine always starts, though, like, I start feeling, like, that confidence, that build-up, but I know what you're talking about when you put the flannel on. I start feeling that build-up, and I start feeling more like...
Yeah.
Like, I'm amped right as I start to finish, right when I finish painting my face.
Yeah.
Like, when that happens, and, like, I grab my trench coat, I posted something on Instagram, and it was the walk from the basement of the brew house all the way to the curtain.
Oh, yeah.
And you watch that, and you just kind of fucking see, like, I start increasing my pace and I start moving and like it starts, the light bulb starts getting clicked on.
And it's like, I get it when, I think it's more the fact is, I put the flannel on, I button it to where it needs to go, and so side story is I wrestled West the second time, and I fucking misbuttoned my flannel.
He said something to you, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
And so the whole crowd was like giving me shit that I can't button the flannel.
Yeah.
And so Sean was sitting next to somebody, and she was like, "I'm a nurse, I can help you." And I was like, "All right." So I walked down, and I was like, she's like, went to reach for it, and I was like, start taking it off. And I was like, "No." I rolled back in, and I buttoned it up, and I still fucking buttoned it up wrong. Yeah. So yeah, that's a funny that's a funny comedy thing I do that I did. But yeah, but like when that flannel comes on, and then I put the final water in my hair.
That's his wife.
That's his wife. Oh well, she's a nurse. She could help me put the flannel on. When I slick back the hair and that music hits, and you like you said, you're Andrew Arch all the time. It's just turned up.
Yeah.
I got LumberZack in here.
Yeah.
The flannel comes on, the wrist tape goes on. Oh,
I've never seen much of a difference, to be quite honest. Like anytime I don't pay attention to how you jaw jack with the crowd. The only time I ever noticed is when we had the incident with the heckler wrestler who was in the crowd. He's
which one?
I don't want to say his name because he's squared away things with me. But,
yeah.
And you were like threatening to fight him. Because
work the worker.
Yeah.
That's when you can work the worker.
Yeah, we were in the ring together. We were working like that. Yeah, and you were like, you were really gonna fight, and I was like, oh my god. Like that was the one time I noticed you interacting with the crowd because it was getting out of hand, and I can tell you were pissed.
I'm like, dude, you paid to be here.
Yeah.
You paid to see me.
I don't know if he did.
I mean, and like I said, I don't hold any grudges, and I know who you're talking about, and I've seen him in doing what he's doing, and fantastic, man.
Yeah. That's why I didn't want to say where he's from or make any comments about who it is because he was young. He was young and just trying to get noticed, and I get it, and I no grudge. I love you. You know who I'm talking about if you're watching.
Yeah, and I have nothing against him.
Nothing but respect. If you want me to say your name, I will, but not until you say so.
I just watched a match of his 3 days ago.
Yep.
Watched a recent match too.
Mm-hmm. He's
and
good.
And he learned.
Yeah.
And obviously he's doing pretty well.
So with my exit from Wild West and we talked about there's certain things I wanted
to see Mikey O'Shea.
I know there's certain things I was gonna address, but what? And I know you talk to the boys. What questions do you have about that? What do you want to know
about your exit?
Yeah. What do you want to know? And if you're watching and you have a personal relationship or had a personal relationship, here's the part you're not gonna like, because I'm being completely candid.
I want to know, or I want you to air it out. And again, if you're watching this stream, you're watching this podcast, you're gonna get your feelings hurt at some point.
Yeah.
Eventually, as I get used to this podcast thing, I'll probably become more of the asshole. Why? What was your problem with who ran it?
Okay. Man.
This will be the last topic.
Because it's a long topic.
Because we're at 2 hours.
I have so many branches.
Yeah.
But
give me the short and not the short and sweet, but give me the straight. Give me the straight,
sweet story. The big thing, the simple answer as to why I left and why I was fed up. And I left wrestling for 2 reasons. One was my health. That was a big thing. Like I said, I had concussion issues. I kept getting rocked. I kept having problems. But the ownership and the way things were ran at Wild West really made me hate professional wrestling. Really got me to a point where I hated this thing that I have dedicated, almost my entire adult life to, something I absolutely loved. This person made me hate it because um, I felt that I gave everything. What a lot of people don't know is I uprooted my life, and I'm not gonna. I'll only talk bad about the person, and I'm not gonna talk bad about other people and their lives because I don't feel that that's fair.
Right.
But I had some stuff going on, and I uprooted my life and moved to Reno, and like some stuff happened, and they had told me like I always got your back. Like I always got your back. And when push came to shove, I got kicked to the curb. And this was someone that I had literally dedicated years to. Like my phone was always available. I would call I would get phone calls that would start at 9 o'clock. And here's the part that you boys never got to see. I'd get phone calls at 9 o'clock at night, and I'd be on the phone till 3 a.m. Like I had work the next day. Like I had a job.
Yeah.
Like I'd get calls that lasted till 3 a.m. And spending time away from my family. It took time. It strained my relationship. It caused so many problems in my personal life. And I put this person and their business ahead of my own life. And when it finally came down to it, I felt like I got kicked to the curb. So much so that when I left Reno, I never got another phone call. I never got a, hey, how are you doing? I never got a, hey, did you make it? They're okay.
Right.
Like that completely went out the window. And like when I had gone up there, I was doing a shit ton of stuff. When it came to booking, planning the shows, like I had went and done. I did a bunch of the meetings. I had, I was doing the flyers.
Right.
Scratch that. I had West Coast do the flyers because I don't want to take credit from my boy West Coast. If you need a flyer done and you can afford it, go see West Coast. If you need other graphic work done, sorry West Coast, come to me. I need work. I love you. But no, he's the best. He's what I try to be like. When it comes to graphic design. But he was doing those, but like when it came to like the match graphics, I was doing that. When it came to, everything, every victory was us. We did this. We did that. We worked together and we had a good show. When something went wrong, it was my fault. When something happened that somebody didn't like, that the boss didn't like, it was my fault. My ass that got chewed out. And sorry, that's not the way that works. It's either if you're going to put everything on me, then it was my success. It wasn't our success. Like, I'll take the full blame if you're willing to give me the full credit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it just, I had treated someone like family, and I had heard the term brother a lot. And then finally, like, I came to realize, like I know how I treat my brothers, and I didn't feel like I was getting treated like a brother. And so I was fed up. People saw me come to one of probably the third or the first or second show, probably the first show after I'd left Reno. I came back, and like all the boys in the locker room were like, "What the fuck's going on with you? What's wrong? Like, what's wrong?" And I was so fucking depressed. Like I wasn't eating.
Yeah.
Like there were other things going on in my personal life and my relationship and things that just that person fucked me up, and I feel treated me very badly, and I don't feel treated me like a brother. And then that's how you treat brothers, and I don't want to be a brother. I gave everything, and it seemed that the only people who ever noticed were the boys. Like, if you were to say, since you came in, who was the booker at Wild West?
No idea. So when I first started, I had no idea. I believe it was, the owner. That's just a couple of ideas. I knew at one point it was Greg. And then
never Greg.
Or that's what I.
So the booking team consisted of myself, Mike Shoup, and Greg and Kimmy. because I don't ever want to take.
Two of my favorite people, Kimmy and Mike.
I fucking love Kimmy and Mike. Mike's my brother, hands down.
I wish I could have mixed it up with Mike.
Oh, dude, we never got to. We did one time at a training session. Never got to do anything after that. I remember talking to you just about every day about this, and every training we had at the time. Yeah, I mean everything was on me and on my shoulders, and there was always, we're doing this, we're doing. And here's the other thing, like we were given delegation to be like, okay, it was like we had a booking team, but like I was the middleman. I was always the middleman, and it was like, okay, well, we spent 3 hours sitting. Me and the booking team, we'd sit and have all these creative stuff. We'd write out all these shows, we'd do all this, and then we'd go, and I'd be like, all right, here's what we're doing. Cool. It would be changed the next day. Like, stories, we'd get to the show, and it's like, well, we changed this, we're doing this now, we're doing this. It's like, then why the fuck am I putting all this energy in?
Okay.
Like, it was a complete clusterfucking chaos. Like, when you had that, the mixed tag match.
I didn't have that.
What was the one that you were like? Oh no, the Fatal Four JD with the Fatal 4-Way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like
when that got checked, yeah.
That wasn't us. Like we didn't make that call. My MO when I first started doing stuff was to show up, and the roster was like the lineup was in complete disarray because miscommunication happened somewhere, and I could sit there and say it's miscommunication. However, if it's your company, you need to know everything that's going on at all times. But I remember one show in particular, everything was in disarray at the show, and I showed up and basically had to be like, okay, here's what we'll do. And basically had to restructure and rewrite.
Rework the card, yeah.
Because the people who had worked it, I had to sit there and explain why, no, you need to do it like this. This is why this needs to go here. This is why this needs to, and like, I shouldn't have to do that. I shouldn't have to tell you why it should be structured this way. I still have the boys tell me. Mike Shoup has told me countless occasions. Best show we ever had, psychology, structure, anything wise, was the one I booked. Where I can't remember. I'm pretty sure you were on the card, but
which
it was the one.
If you give me a match, I'll remember it,
bro. Yeah, I think it was in. God.
Was it in Neil Road?
No, it was at the Brew House. It was like our first time going back to the Brew House.
I've only wrestled there twice.
Okay, but yeah, no, it said it was one of the best shows we ever ran, we ever booked, and it was very well structured. Everything ran smoothly. Like, there was no clusterfuckery going on.
Right.
And that was even with someone, like, walking out on the show. I think it was the first time I wrestled Choopy. And I put all this fucking work in. Like, oh, so much fucking work. And I got my ass chewed out because I did one thing that somebody didn't like, and Austin Ames versus Downtown Dylan show. Yes, that one. And I believe Austin's even told me, he's like, that was one of the best shows we ever had. I fucking love this, blah, blah, blah. And it was handed to me, and then right after that, because I did something that the owners didn't like, it got swept out from under me, and was like, no, you're not doing this no more. Or we're gonna try something new. And that was the other thing. There was no consistency ever with the company. It's like there was always, we're gonna try this. We're gonna try this. We're gonna try this. But like, you never stuck with anything long enough to get any kind of traction, to go any direction, tell any long-term storytelling. And I just got to a point where I was just fed up. I felt like I was treated like shit. This person made me just fucking. I went and when I went up there for the, not last show I did, but the one where I wrestled the tag match. I didn't even fucking want to go.
Right.
I didn't want to be there. That's the one where I almost walked out on the company. Yeah.
That was when August had a match with the hardest team.
But
maybe you should have both sides of this.
yeah, well, Um, like I said, this is my platform to just air my. I'm not saying nearly as vicious as I could what I want to say. Um, but I felt like I was treated like dog shit, and for someone who calls me brother, I don't feel like I was treated like a brother. Um, to this day, like I had never gotten a hey, how you doing? Hey, how are you? Hey, what's going on? Hey, I heard you're here now. Like I got a nice thank you for everything you've done. We love you on my last show, which is cool. Like thank you. But it was just kind of a little too late for me for that. It's like, yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and cuss you out and say one way or another, say this or that, say all the things I feel like I want to say when I'm angry, because we all know how fucking mean I can be.
Right.
But I didn't want to hear it. I said goodbye to the people I said wanted to say goodbye to. You know, I didn't even want to shake hands before I left, but I did out of respect because I got to do a lot. I got to do a lot of the matches I wanted to do. But it was just.
So let me ask you this: after everything you said, right? And we've never talked. We've never talked about this,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I don't know what really went on. I don't know the other side of the story. Is there the opportunity to, since he's in, we know he's watching,
Mm-hmm.
to not kiss and make up, but air it out. Obviously, what this podcast is for. But to reconcile. Not let's go back and do what you're doing. Do what you did.
Currently in my life?
But like, maybe I mean not now, but eventually, I mean I know you did a lot of stuff there.
Well, I'm at a point where like I trust people, and if I trust you, I give you all my trust, and if you break that trust, like I don't mend that very well.
Right.
So I can say currently where I'm at, no, not particularly. Like you always say never say never. Like that's the old saying. But I can tell you that there's not a whole lot of trust there, and I'm really fucking bitter about it.
I mean, I get it. I get it.
And I'm not the only one who's bitter about it. Like it affected everybody in my life.
I mean,
like my whole family.
Like I said, I don't know the whole story. This is the first time I'm hearing in depth about it. I'm not here to take sides, obviously.
Right.
Well, I don't know.
To sit there and say everything that I did would take another fucking 2 hours.
Right.
Which can always, I can get into at another time. But just for the record, like this was the point of the podcast, was to vent my own frustration and to find a healthy way to get my feelings out. It's almost like therapy.
Yeah,
it's public
absolutely.
therapy. Because it got to a point where it was like I wasn't even, when I started, I got to a point where I was doing stuff for the boys. Like I didn't even fucking care.
Yeah.
I believed in the product. I gave it everything I had for the boys. Like the last show I did, God bless Taylor. Fuck, I shouldn't say that name. But God bless Choopy. Sorry. God bless Choopy.
Taylor Swift?
Because, yeah,
I love Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. But God bless Choopy because I was just like I was such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Like I was just to the point where like I didn't know like if I wanted to be there, but out of respect for the boys, out of respect for him, I was there.
You still ultimately have a job to do, but you're there for the boys.
Yeah.
Regardless of what's going on with management, you're there for the boys, which obviously everyone respects that for.
Mm-hmm.
I've been burned by. I mean, like I said, don't know the story. I've been burned by people. Lost a lot of trust. Somebody who I thought was a name, who I thought was a good friend, who I talked to on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Burned me. I fell out of love of wrestling, and wanted to quit. Wanted to be done. And JD's the one. Again, here we are with JD. My best friend.
Yeah.
Saw it, and brought me out of it. So but knew I was difficult. I didn't want to do anything. I was tired. I was booking with my tag team partner at the time. I kind of stopped giving a shit. I was just booking random shit. So I understand the frustration of you get burned by somebody. You think you get burned by somebody, right?
Yeah.
Again, I can't comment on what's going on. I can't. I don't know. But that's what we're here for.
Well, that's just me sitting with my buddy, like, you know, trying to vent stuff out. Yeah, and Blaze, I know that is what happened, but I also know that what was going on. Where we want to get. I think we all get to a point where we get. Well, and I know Blaze has gone through some stuff too, but I also know that, like, there was a lot of this person said this, or this person was getting told this person was getting told this, and there was 4 different people telling people this is what's going to happen, this is what's going to happen. And there was no solid voice, like, to go, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And we're sticking to this. Like, and that is what people got fed up with. I know that's what he got fed up with. Like, it can be very confusing when you're told this is what we're going to do with you, this is what we're going to do with you, and then the fucking carpet gets ripped out from under you every fucking time.
Yeah.
And the shit that always pissed me off is guess who the finger got pointed at?
Yeah.
It was always, oh, well, Arch said this, Arch said this. No. No. Arch said this because I had to moderate, I had to get this person from this person, and then hear this from this person, hear this, like, be like, all right, here's my understanding. I have went and talked to the boss, and this is what we are doing. Like, and that was...
So would you say that's too many hands? We're going to use an out and
interesting. What's interesting?
And we're going to use an analogy. Is that too many hands in the cookie jar? Too many hands in, or just I know you can't run a company just by yourself.
I mean, but you can't there's too many people in charge. When there's too many people in charge of creative, there's no one solid direction.
Understandable.
Fucking interesting. I don't know what the interesting is for. But fucking Christian Black comments in here. I'll say this: Christian Black was probably one of my favorite going aways. That was something that actually made me emotional because, bro, I've fucking been up and down the road with him, and like he's annoyed the fucking shit out of me. There's been times where like I was like, I don't feel safe with him. I fucking hate, like, I can't say hate, but like I just got to a point where I got fucking tired of working, and like we've rubbed each other just the wrong way.
Yeah.
But the last I showed up and I was just in a different mood. And first thing he was the first person who noticed. He walked in and said, when I walked in the locker room, he smiled, said, "Come here." And I said, "What?" He's like, "I'm glad to see you happy again." And gave me a hug. And then after my match, said the thing about he said what he said on the mic, and I know he doesn't do that for clout. He doesn't do it to look good. Like, he doesn't do it because everybody else is doing it. And I'm not saying anybody else there did. I know that what people said were from the heart because y'all have told me that behind closed doors. Anyway, you just did it on public forum. But Christian had never like said something like that. So the fact that he took the time, especially with how difficult we can be to each other, meant a lot to me. So I don't know if I ever said that publicly, Christian, but like what you had to say to me meant a lot to me, and like, yeah, it made me emotional. But yeah, no, I'm just I feel like there's no direction, and nobody ever knows who's in charge of what and who's not. But I just got tired of the blame always being on me. It always being my fault every time something went wrong.
Right.
You know, why is this happening? You know, why is that happening? And I was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, and you're my boy. And as far as like reconciling things, I'm to a point where I don't have any patience. Okay. I don't have any patience for any more drama. Like, and I know this is fucking a dumb way to say that because we're gonna cause problems.
But no, I understand.
But it's like I'm not trying to like kill the business or bury anything or necessarily bury anybody in particular. But it's like I'm also here to speak candidly and voice my own opinion. And I've been silent for fucking 10, maybe not 10 years. I think I did it for 8 years. But like my entire career, I've been quiet and I've been political. I'm like, yes sir, yes sir.
Right.
Spit in my face, and I go, thank you, may I have another? And
if you're into that kind of stuff.
I'm tired of it, and like I don't know. I think there's just a whole lot of looking. I can't stand when people look down on me. Like,
right, I understand.
Yeah, and I feel like there was always like, oh, well, listen here. It's like, don't do that to me.
So, like, in a nutshell, you feel like it was always on you, and the blame was always on you, nobody else. Basically, whoever has helped running creative, helped running the company, you felt everything comes back on you.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah.
Besides, like, and nobody knows, like, I've helped run a company, and you've helped run a company. No, the boys don't know what the phone calls I have with JD, or the hours I spent on the phone.
Yeah.
They don't see that.
Yeah, the boys never see it. They just assume, oh, and that was the other shit I always heard. It's the Andrew Art show. It's like, fucking, do you really think like I asked to go on a streak, or that I wanted to be the last match on every fucking card? Like, not at all. Like, the undefeated thing that was presented was a call from higher up than me, and I said, okay, like, if you want that to happen, here's what I ask. Have someone beat me that it's going to elevate them. Yeah. Like, right. I wanted to be like a younger guy. I wanted to be like Nova or Blaze or somebody. But at the end of the day, like, doing what I did and, losing and, have my last match with Chupi was very poetic and meant a lot to me, and I have no regrets about that. I'm not angry about that. I just, it was, yeah, it is what it is, and I lost my train of thought.
But no, so I understand where you're coming from. I do, and I can't comment because I don't know.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is a lot of people don't know. They know what they are fed through the gossip mill. They know they're through the rumor.
And and if it sounds bad, they said you gotta get both sides of the story. Yeah. And if I learn the other side of the story, I'm not here to take sides or believe one person more than the other. Yeah.
You got someone texting you.
That's my sister. Oh. That's what's for dinner. I'm not here to pick sides. I'm not here to drive a wedge further between you guys. No. But this is what we're here. This is what we're here for.
There's no, like, I don't take what people say, or like, oh, this person said this person said this. I view the whole equation as it is, and I make my answer based on that. So it's like, no one's going to drive a wedge further than the person who drove the wedge in the first place.
Understandable.
So, like, I'm hurt, and I'm hurt emotionally, I'm hurt physically. Like, and I've had people say, well, were you ever going to wrestle again?
I mean, never say never.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole story. You never say never, but I'm very much to the point where it's like,
you're done.
I'm yeah.
Are you like how CM Punk felt? Yeah. You're gonna go try MMA, lose 2 times, come back to
professional wrestling? No. Hell no. I released a single and everyone loved it, and so that was doing really good. So I'm gonna try my hand at music. Okay. Try my hand at podcasting, maybe Twitch streaming, gaming. Hey,
I was talking with my son. My son wants to be a YouTuber. Yeah. And I was like, well, we can stream. Yeah. So maybe like we'll have to get together sometime and fucking. I mean, not together sometime. I can't come down all the fucking time here. Yeah. But we'll stream sometime. Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, as far as like being retired, I'm basically retired.
Until I call you out of retirement.
I've talked with my family about having a match here and there. It'd be really cool to wrestle in front of my younger brother who's never seen me wrestle. Yeah. If Mike Shoup ever comes out of retirement, I already told him, I was like, me and you, we're gonna work a match.
I've only known Mike Shoup for the small amount of time.
I'm not gonna respond to that, just so you know. I'm very worked up. and I'm being very nice right now because
I
could be way meaner.
Come to NWP. Well, he's retired. I can't bring him to NWP. I've tried.
No, you haven't.
No, I haven't. I always forget.
No, you haven't.
But you know, like I said, shoot coming out of retirement.
If there's ever a day, it's a long time from now.
Yeah,
that's and that's where I'm at. Like, if there's ever a day, it's a long time from now, and that will be a decision that is not based upon me.
Yeah,
that is a decision that's based up on my family and like the people I care about.
You got a beautiful family, man. I mean,
well, because we're all fucking sick of it. It took a toll on all of us. Like what happened Wild West took a toll on everyone here. Like, so it's like you still owe me a win, fucker. You're right. I wanted you to beat the streak. Okay.
Hey, you just take that vibe up to his taint.
Although I will say one of the really cool things. Someone I was very close with, technically speaking, handed me my first loss, and it wasn't Choopy. If you want to get real technical, because I stepped in for Billy Hardesty after he got kicked stage, technically speaking, Tyson Reigns and the one that I care more about, and I can Chase Havoc. I always forget his because I was calling Russ.
Yeah, I didn't say that like Russ, and then
Russ, who cares very much about the business and just wants to be good and is like a brother, has always just had my back. He technically handed me my first loss, which I think is very special. And I told him that, and I was like,
"Be proud of that.
I'm very proud of you."
You know, and as much as the ways I keep saying, I can't comment on what went on
because you still work there.
Well, too, but I'm friends with everybody there, and I mean, if having this conversation with you they decide to go separate ways and not use me again, I mean, but I mean,
I don't think that would be the case. Like, you can't, like, I can sit and, like, I could sit here and bury certain people, and I could call out names, and that was my original intention when this all started. Like, was to sit there and, say this person, that person, this person. Like, I'm not going to sit there and say, like, their name and, because they're trying to do, like, that's neither here nor there. But, like, I just, I could be a lot meaner, but I'm not.
But absolutely.
And it's me who's saying the shit.
I've seen Russ improve since when I wrestled him.
Oh yeah. Russ is always like, hey, have you watched this? Can you
I'm big on that. I'm big. Like, I'll do the same thing to anybody. Like, I'll walk back and like, and the owner of Wild West can look at it too. I'm like, how to look? How do you feel about it? Because ultimately, or like I've gone to you. I think I've gone to you a couple times. Like, how'd that look? And you go, well, I heard it. Or like JD's big thing because he's busy.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he's I help a little bit, right? But he ultimately runs Northwest Road by himself. Yeah. And I'll ask him, he'll be like, I heard it, and that's all I need. Yeah. And
I think they're up there. There's people who are blind to how bad things got.
The door is not closed. The door is not closed for who?
No, he's
for me because shit.
No. I think I know who he's talking about, but I don't care if the door's open at this current juncture.
I mean, but it's still fresh.
I'm proud of what I did there, and I'm proud of that. My name is notched where it is on the belt, and I did that. Like, I know that my hard work is what did that.
Yeah, it paid off.
It paid off, yeah. And so,
and the thing is,
and I know at the end of the day, I didn't politic my way into anything. So,
and that's another pet peeve is it's
politicking.
like, it's for me is I show up, I get told what I'm doing, and I try to make the best of it. I haven't really politicked much anywhere because I'm not more trying to stress myself out over stuff.
Yeah.
But I understand, right now this subject is touchy.
Yeah.
Obviously there's another side of the story. Obviously, Zach, there's no beer on the canvas. But you laughed when I drank that beer, did you?
I kicked a beer over on the canvas in my last show when Austin was.
So was it me?
I kicked a bottle of beer over on the canvas on accident.
How could you?
Yeah. It wasn't on purpose. I didn't do it on purpose. I mean,
No,
there's
no.
part of me laughed.
And I understand, and as much as like I don't care if working there was working there.
Yeah.
Right. Talk about the subject, but it's like I know this subject bothered you, and
it was more than just a territory to me. It was more than just a job. It was I made it very much my life. I made it my home.
And I'll comment on that. NWP is, I take NWP priority over any other booking. We add dates. I clear my calendar for those dates.
Yeah.
Ultimately, NWP and wrestling is probably one of the reasons I'm getting divorced. But because we're gonna get a little personal here, but like, I wasn't the best. Wrestling changes. It sometimes changes you when you're unhappy in wrestling.
Yeah.
Your personal life suffers.
Yeah. Mine sure did, and I'm not, because I respect the person I'm with, I'm not gonna sit there and air that as far as like my stuff is concerned. But like, it takes a lot on your personal life.
It does. It does. Like I traveling. Like I did a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
And then it takes a toll because like my kids love it.
Yeah.
And I do it for I do it for myself because I love it, and but I also did it for my kids to show them to chase your dreams.
Yeah. And that was my big thing when it
I know, tag team. Yeah.
That was my big thing when it came to like doing wrestling. Was I told my nephew, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
He's like, what did you want to do? And I said, I always wanted to be a pro wrestler. And he's like, well, why aren't you? And he basically called my bluff.
Yeah. Why
aren't you? And I was like, that's a really good question. Why I'm not? Because I didn't have a good enough reason, so I started chasing it. And then
that's the best thing. Man.
That was always my other payoff, is like the kids who would look at you like you're Superman.
So I'll tell you, not the point where I made it, because I haven't made it. Chris, I will talk to you guys soon about seeing what we can do. Right now, I know I'm fairly got some cards booked, so we'll talk soon. But is the point, like, why not? And at the time I started, I had 2 kids. I just had my 2 kids.
Yeah.
And whatnot, but where I don't think I made it. I definitely haven't made it. I'm not making a living off of this.
Mm.
But where you said where kids come up to you, ask you for autographs and pictures. I signed replica WWE titles. I signed T-shirts. I signed hats. I signed anything and everything you could think of.
Yeah.
And then the thing too is I get promo pictures done.
Yeah.
I sign them and I give them for free. Right? Because at the end of the day, when you're walking through the crowd or walking through your ring and you see kids holding your picture with your signature.
Yeah.
They're gonna hold on that forever.
Yeah.
Or not forever, but they're gonna like, oh, I got this at the show, my first show.
There's a person that when I was just starting to do the crazy looking gimmick, they were a friend I knew from Lucha Circuit. His son was having a birthday party, and it was his 3rd, 4th. It could have been his 5th. I don't know. He was fairly young. It was his birthday, and they were having a wrestling show.
Right.
And his son requested that I be there. Said, you're his favorite professional wrestler. Like, you need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
He said, what is it going to take? And it was a drive for me, and gas was crazy, and like I wasn't making a whole lot of money in my day job. And I said, look, if you can cover my gas and give me a little bit for my work, that's all I ask. And they took care of me, paid me very well. And I showed up, and it just made this kid's day. Like, there's a picture of us together, and he's just like, yeah! Like, that's the look on his face at 3 or 4 years old. And then I wrestled, I think a year or 2 ago, in Modesto, and he showed up with one of my shirts on, the cartoon Andrew Hart shirt, and still the biggest fan. He's like, I still have your picture at home.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that.
Well, see, that's why you do the free promo pictures, is because they don't cost barely anything to get done, and 2 is I'm in it. Like, my merch sales, when I press my merch, I can make a lot of money. But 8x10s, and I sign it, and somebody gets it for free who may not be able to afford a $10 promo picture.
Yeah.
But they get a free one. And every show.
Mm.
You know, every show I sign them personally the day right before the show, right before I go back to the locker room to get dressed. I'll sign them, and if they want me to personalize them, I'll sign them for free. And then it's like after the show, I'll take pictures with anybody.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they're we just started selling tickets, and we're packing the house, but people are paying to see you. I owe them the pictures. I owe them the free autographs. I haven't made a name for myself enough to charge.
Yeah.
But if they want a picture for a background on their phone that I've seen sometimes of me like on their kids get the first smartphone.
Yeah.
And I've seen myself on their thing with a picture.
Yeah.
That hits me.
I've always done the I'll take a picture with whoever. I never did free 8x10s simply because I was told that if someone else is selling 8x10s, you're making them look bad because they're gonna go up to that person and be like, well, why can't I get a free one? He gave me a free one. And so I never did any of that. There were occasions where, like, as things were dying down, and there would be a kid like who couldn't get one or they couldn't get this, and like either I would notice it and be like, here, bud, like, do you and it's not error, or they get one, they're like, oh well, I really like that one too, and I can't decide, and I was like, I'll give you both of them, buddy.
Yeah.
Don't even worry about it. Like, or I do like deals, like, they bought this, I'd give them a sticker, or I'd give them they bought a mask, or so I give them a picture with it.
Yeah.
Like, I always worked out something to give them to go over the top.
Well, because they remember that.
Absolutely. Like, it doesn't matter if it's if it's your 200, 300th match, it could be their first show.
Yeah.
And especially if it's their first show, like, you want to make it memorable.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, like, when there's been kids that I just made cry.
Yeah.
Like, just bursting into tears. And I caught so much hate for, like, breaking character. But, like, we did a birthday party, and a private birthday party. And so everyone knew, like, they were heavily involved in wrestling. And we did the party, and I scared the crap out of this little kid. Mm-hmm. And just came back out, and I went, and I pulled my contact, and I was like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to be afraid of me. Yeah. Please don't be traumatized for the rest of your life.
It's like I come out, I'm a complete asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I told the last show, I told this little girl's hair, she had beautiful hair, obviously.
Yeah.
I told her hair was stupid. And then after the show with us, she sees me, I'm taking pictures and stuff and like that, and she's like, I love you, you're my favorite. Mm. And it's like, even I'm like an asshole, but afterwards, you kind of make up for it, right?
Yeah.
So you break the character.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the best thing, man. And like, they, I'm there for the fans, right. like when I do, like, here's another touching story with my uncle who just recently passed away, and I had you make that music for me.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Mom, I walked out. I'm getting chills. I walked out. I looked to the left. My mom's crying. And no, shit, I'm gonna start crying. I look to the left, and she's gone.
Yeah.
Fucking red in the face and stuff. And because that's my uncle's favorite song.
Mm-hmm.
And and the crowd may not know that why I went over and hugged my mom.
Yeah.
They don't know that.
Yeah.
But my mom does. And go and do the match and stuff. And it's funny because I sat in the ring a little longer than I usually do. Mm-hmm. Like Wes beat me. I sat in the ring kind of like I was done. Yeah. And at one point, laying on the canvas, I was like, maybe I'm done. Not that I'm old or beat up. I'm not. I'm 28 years old. I'm fucking killing it right now.
Yeah. But
I was content because my mom saw me wrestle. My uncle, who saw me wrestle once at Taco Fest,
mm-hmm.
and that was like right when I started.
Yeah.
Never saw me, and then I promised him that he'd manage a match for me.
Yeah.
He got it. He lost all this weight, got a hip replacement for it, was gonna get a knee replacement for it, and as soon as he was ready, I was gonna fly him up, have him manage one match with me. That's all he wanted.
Yeah.
He passed away, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. That's why I do this.
It's moments like that, like if I've said, since retiring and stuff, I've said if I was ever gonna do it, if I was ever gonna do anything again, it would be my own show under my conditions.
Yeah.
And the reason is some of my best memories are running my own show, as stressful as it was. give you one in particular that was very special to me. My my dad, he was the wrestling fan, and when I was a kid, and I grew up with wrestling in the house, on in the house, and I know that was always a dream of his, somewhere deep, like you could tell. And you could talk about, maybe reffing. Was my dad played our commissioner, and he was Ronald G. Archibald.
That's amazing.
My name was Andrew Arch. So we had never addressed it, and it was all building to this fact that it was going to be revealed that he was my father. But just to watch him come out and like do his thing, he had like this cane, had like a real Freddie Blassie kind of vibe to him, with a coat, and he had a T-shirt that I had made him, says "This guy runs the company," and has 2 thumbs up on it on the shirt, and it was just fantastic. And like, there was one of the shows we did was building towards team VCW versus team. There was a guy in the company at the time named Mike Miller. Team Miller versus Team Archibald, and like heels come out are beating us down, and then someone comes out for the save. The baby faces clear it, and my dad's in the ring with us, and we all just look at each other and do the fucking 2 sweets, and he was loving it, man. And it was. And then, my brother, who has given me shit my whole life about being unathletic, to hear him cheer, like, in the crowd, my older brother, to hear him cheer and be like, yeah, like, at the top of his lungs, is some of the best memories I have. One of the most rewarding memories. There's other you and Torch with the Power Ranger versus Power Ranger. The nacho incident, but there's just lots of memories like that as to why I do it. And
I remember there's like my dad watched wrestling, and everybody watched it in the '80s. Mm-hmm. Wrestling was a staple in every fucking house. Yeah. I don't care everybody knows who Hulk Hogan is. Everybody fucking does. The racist. Mm-hmm. And
damn.
But like my dad worked a lot, and never could watch wrestling with me. So like I remember the first wrestling I watched was like the SmackDown after WrestleMania 20. Yeah. Right? Oh no, the week before.
I'll start crying again, man.
I thought it was. This is funny. Is I caught the last 2 minutes of SmackDown. Yeah. WrestleMania 20 happened. I thought SmackDown was on every fucking day. So every day I'd go to the same channel and like wait. And eventually somebody told me it's only on Fridays. Yeah. Or Thursdays. It was on Thursdays at the time. And but the memory I have is we're at my aunt's house that I just had the celebration of life from my uncle with. And I remember there's a toy box off to the side that they're one of those big tube flat screen TVs. Like the big motherfuckers. Yeah. And I remember SmackDown being on. My uncle sitting on the couch. And we're just watching it. Yeah. And that's one of the that's like one of the memories I have of me and my uncle. Going there, we went to a Raw in 20 whatever. CM Punk faced Brock Lesnar. Right. We didn't talk for a while because personal things happened. And then I reconnected through wrestling. Yeah. Well, kind of before wrestling is like he was my number 1 fan. Like he, and whatnot. So that is touching, because now my dad watches me wrestle. My mom, and dad watch every match that I wrestle in. For at least those probably don't travel with me, obviously. Yeah. But to see your my family was all athletic. I played football. I wrestled. My sisters were all cheerleaders. Different opinion on whether cheerleading is a sport. But my whole family watches me wrestle. You see it, they come to Reno, and they're all there watching me wrestle, and to hear them cheer for me, and know that I love what I do, but they support me. They won't let me give them free shit. They'll be like, nope, we're buying it online. We're buying it fucking through this, and that means something. I don't ask them to buy stuff. Yeah. But they're like, when are you coming out with a new design? When my sister's like, well, we can make back scratchers and and little
Well, tell them to buy some of my shit.
She's like, she's like, we can make little foam axes and stuff like that. Like my family's been super supportive, and
you need to buy flannels in bulk and sell them.
I've thought about it.
Spray paint LumberZack on the back.
LZ, I'll just LZ.
There you go, LZ.
Oh shit,
the big
you're not getting royalties. But you know, and like with Chris said his dad told him to stay away from the business.
Yeah.
I feel like as much as Greg knows the business and the way it is, that would have been a mistake.
Yeah.
As I was like, I'm not here to not kissing Chris's ass. I think Chris is underrated. I've seen him out. He's wrestling out. He's getting a lot more bookings.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
I think he can be a very big deal. I think he's very underrated. I think he just needs, to have the confidence that he's found and keep riding with the confidence
and Vibe might do building. That. And Vibe might do that.
Yeah, it might.
And then one thing it's the confidence just comes. All of a sudden, it just comes.
Because you stop giving a fuck.
Yeah, or you believe in yourself.
When I say stop giving a fuck, you stop giving a fuck about everybody else's fucking opinion.
Yeah, and you believe in yourself.
No one's right for you.
You believe in yourself, and the confidence comes. Because I have a guy in Washington, Roger, and will always ask me a question. I was like, well, "How do you get the confidence?"
Yeah.
Me and Wes were talking about it. I was like, it just comes, man. I said, when you feel like you belong, and and I tell him because I know when people belong. Mm-hmm. You know when people belong, right? He belongs, and I told him, so you belong here.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're getting booked for a reason,
right?
And I said you just got to get the confidence to understand that you're here, you belong here. Let's make the best of it.
And I think that's one of the things is like we're when we first break in, we're taught like,
we're taught you got to prove yourself.
Yeah, you're beaten down. And it comes at a certain point. I'm happy that people that have found it. Like there's so many different memories I can go into as far as wrestling, but I gotta save some material for more podcasts
next time, right?
Like, I know there's people I didn't talk about. Like I met the person I'm with because of wrestling, and I know without it that would have never happened. And so
like my kid's mom supported me through a lot of
it. Wrestling has served its purpose in my life, and it's helped me figure out who I am. It's helped me find the people that I want to be with, and now it's time to think about my own health and put those people first, because God knows that she stood behind me through everything and through a lot of shit because of wrestling.
Yeah.
So
I think 3 hours is
3 hours is a long fucking time.
We've had we've had our boys in the chat.
So, I hope everyone liked this and will Queen. I hope everyone will tune in next time. I don't know when the next one is gonna be, but I know I have some people. I mean, how often can you get down here?
I mean, we can find a way that I can do it from up there.
Oh shit, we'll have to figure that out. We'll have to get you on Streamlabs.
Yeah. That's what I'll fucking let me look into it.
Okay.
And then I can just do it from there, and then we'll do a special attraction where I come down and.
Well, and I know that Austin said he wants to come on. Chris Blaze wants to come on. Nova, you're always welcome. Literally anybody who wants to come on, come on. If you wanna, I'd be happy to be on. Sweet. If you wanna show support, I think eventually what the plan is I'm gonna stream this live on Twitch. Yeah. So subscribe on Twitch. The fucking I know it's on here somewhere.
Bam, there it is.
Bam, right there on the bottom left hand corner. The Andrew Arch. I don't think there's any spaces though. So, but thanks for everyone for hanging out. And I think what I'm gonna do before we close is switch over the sound real quick, and I'm gonna go ahead and play y'all my single because y'all fools have never heard it.
I haven't heard it.
But we're gonna sit here, and you'll see us on camera. I don't know if you'll hear us. We'll find out. But I guess they kind of can still hear. Well, that's good. Do a Patreon. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Fine.
Are you on Apple Music?
Yeah, I'm on everything. Spotify, Apple Music.
What's it called?
It's called Home.
I'm going home to a place where I belong.
All right. Thanks for all. like listening. Come back with more questions. I'd love to be on as well. You're more than welcome to come on. And Greg, maybe you want to come on? Maybe we can talk a little bit more about what's going on because you know more. But yeah. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. Sorry it took 3 fucking hours.
Hey, 3 hours, and like I said,
shit, if people like 3 hours, fuck it, I don't mind doing 3 hours.
3 hours is
not every fucking week doing 3 hours.
No. But again, thank you for being here. Thank you for the comments, the engagement. Shit, we're about to listen to this Daughtry knockoff.
Daughtry knockoff. That's not what it was, but it's just my own thing.
Oh, here you go. I'm gonna download it.
See, I don't know if it's gonna play. We're gonna see. Oh, there it goes. I think.
marching on. And if you walk that line and keep that stride, you'll find home. And if you walk that